It's Fortune Radio.
He's straight from Israel.
Yeah.
I'm bisexual, but I am from Israel. We cannot let the next generation deal with this bullshit.
Oh, but they shall.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now passing upon us is but the passing of greed, and the bitterness of men that fear the way of human progress. And the power that they took from the people will return to the people, and so long as men die, liberty will never perish.
Fortune Radio. This is happening. This is really happening.
Not without trials and tribulations, but here we are.
Levels, we'll dial them in as we go. I don't know if it sounds like I'm in a fucking a hallway right now or what.
Yeah, you do sound distant.
It does sound a little hallway-y.
Hallway-y.
The hallway is made of tinfoil.
He picked up one of the guitars that I was working on. He's like, ugh.
No. What I specifically said was, ugh. You gotta add as much on there as possible just to express the disdain that my Jewish ancestors feel about this guitar.
Oy vey.
This is Yoav. Yoav?
Yoav.
He's straight from Israel.
Yeah.
I'm bisexual, but I am from Israel.
That's awesome.
He's bisexual from Israel.
So I've been here for like 2 months visiting. I lived in Denver for like 5 years, but as of recently I've been living in Israel, and I was there during the whole stuff, but like let's save that for later in the episode.
The crucifixion?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was before my time. I was busy.
Not that stuff.
I was busy not existing.
Were you there when he got reborn? Jesus.
I did look like Jesus when I was in middle school. A lot of people accused me of that, but
yeah, with longer hair, you could definitely look like Jesus.
I had long hair, and I also...
What was it like being a Jew in middle school accused of being Jesus?
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. I was not too worried about being crucified.
Yeah. Well, you weren't old enough yet.
Yeah.
You had to get,
Yeah, you have to make it to 33.
Is it 33?
Yeah.
33 is the age?
Bird knows better than I do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not Jewish.
I thought he was in the 27 club, but I guess he made it.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, drugs and alcohol ruined Jesus' life.
It just turns too much of that water into wine, man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was a wino, and he was probably doing some ayahuasca or some mushrooms or some other kind of crazy hallucinogenic, you got to think. Jesus?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. According to the church, that's all alleged, but I definitely think that he was tripping on something in order to think he was the son of God.
Yeah.
Oh, you think so? You don't think he was actually the son of God?
I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not religious myself, but
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
That's Bird. We'll introduce Bird too.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Bird. Bird's the word, Bird's the man. 2 great guests tonight. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Came together at the last minute, so thanks for coming, guys. Pretty awesome.
You're welcome.
That's awesome, dude.
Right.
So I want to save October 7th until Kirk gets on, just for reasons that'll be defined.
Okay, yeah, I'm also going to need some time to prepare because that one's a friggin'
That's a
doozy.
Yeah.
And also, I am not a geopolitical expert. In fact, I kind of like, I was raised kind of like in a suburb, like kind of in my own video game bubble. Like I didn't really pay attention to the politics around me because I noticed a lot of people were being, shitheads about it. So I just like
it's not like on everybody's mind at every moment in Israel. Like
right now, the war?
Well, or just like always. Like I thought it was just like a very political.
Yeah, it is a very
place.
politically charged place where like if you are a Jew in Israel, you are under a certain amount of danger at all times. Like in America, you don't feel that kind of unsafety because in America, the problems aren't like foreign. You're not like surrounded by countries and factors that like want you gone. It's more domestic problems like a failing government and
potholes.
Unless you're black. Then
I was gonna say like speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right.
Yeah,
Did you spend any time in the military?
No, I actually did not. So there is something where you're supposed to enlist to the military once you become of age, unless there are certain factors that.
Bisexuality.
If you're bi, yeah.
No. That just means you get your own shower time,
Totally, Jake.
Word.
and you sleep less because that's your shower time.
That's why you sleep less. So.
No, I sleep less
equality.
because I'm an insomniac with anxiety.
So you're a draft dodger. Let's talk about it.
I'm not a draft dodger. I actually fought because I was like, hey, all of my brothers.
You got the
and-
Jewish John Kerry over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But all of my entire family, like my cousins, my fucking tiny niece, my friggin' parents, my grandparents, my brothers, like they all served, and I'm like the only one of two that hasn't served in the entire extended family, and it feels really bad because you're 18 in Israel. You're expected to have like two things. You're supposed to have finished high school with a diploma and go to the army to do the thing.
The good news is we could probably kick his ass, because he's not.
Oh, I wouldn't bet on it. I am.
This guy knows Krav Maga for sure, and I bet you he can handle an automatic rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also charged with a lot of wartime anger, so come at me, motherfucker. That being said, basically, you're not going to get enlisted if you are Arabic, if you have a medical reason, or if you have a certain circumstance reason. For example, if you're a certain religion that you can't really partake, or if, for example, you're an orphan. Usually a lot of people try to avoid accidentally oopsie-daisily exterminating your bloodline. Well, no, that's extreme. I'm
So
crazy.
what was the reasoning for you not being in the military?
Medical reasons. I have my glasses, which would have prevented me from being a combatant, which is what I wanted because I was in my tough guy macho phase. But then after that, there was some other mental health stuff that basically just broke it down completely. And I was like, either give me what I want or let me go. And they were like, okay, bye. And I'm like, bet, fuck you.
Yeah.
So I go to America and I bury myself in marijuana.
I would imagine I would imagine
about right.
doing that that there's that sense of civic duty, especially when
Oh,
you're talking
dude.
about the constant state of anxiety that people from Israel are always living in, and
Yeah.
I would imagine that you guys are instilled with that sort of patriotic pride, and then not only that kind of ethnic pride, and that the lack being unable to perform that civic duty, I could imagine is pretty
and it's more than the
difficult.
civic duty. It's also being a part of this group of people that know what is the state of our
Yeah.
country and what is the danger and how to react to that danger because you've been trained.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had that training. I have martial arts training, and I am relatively. I can do run fu. I'm relatively quick, but
Yeah, but you don't know blick flu. You know what I mean?
and I don't, and I'm not very
Gun fu.
skilled at gun fu. I'm also
Yeah,
not.
you don't
I
know
don't have
gun fu,
enough.
dude.
I don't have a black belt in money fu either. I don't have any rifles or anything.
Yeah. We're working on that though. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Aaron, did you ever go to Israel?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, awesome place. Fucking so much energy there. So much fucking energy there, man. Good
Yeah.
and bad. Holy divine energy. And tons of beautiful women with machine guns.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Just
Fucking-
beautiful
I'm a
jet
fan
black
of it.
hair, green eyes, and just packing heat. Packing mad heat.
Summer dress, blonde hair, fucking sparkly green eyes, fair skin, and an M16.
Just popping
All of those are
Red-
search
red dot.
terms on my portal.
Fully loaded.
fully loaded.
Somebody looked at bird search history.
Yeah, my entire search history is exactly what you just said.
Yeah, that's hilarious. No, man, I want to go back because I think some real next level shit's gonna happen there, man. Some next level whatever. If we
Yeah.
were talking about Revelations earlier, some in today's crazy next level shit's gonna happen in Israel. I can feel it.
Yeah.
and I kind of want to be there when it goes down.
Yeah, sort of boots on the ground and stuff like
Would
that.
you-
To bear witness, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Would you rather be there for the end of days and see the end of the world, or would you
Survive and do a Fallout thing in the other place of the world.
Well, it's all right. The question is, would you rather die tomorrow and see the end of the world, go out with the world, or live a long, healthy life, die of old age, and the world keeps going, and all of your kids keep living?
I would much
Option
rather
B.
the option B.
That doesn't sound very enticing.
Option B, you'd rather live a long life and not see the end.
Yeah,
No, I mean, what's going to happen with or
so,
without.
and this is actually something that I've discussed with some of my friends. You know, like everybody has this like sort of romanticization of the end days, and because of all the movies and pop culture,
and also
all the
being
zombie
tired
things.
already.
And a lot of motherfuckers are deluded into thinking that they would actually survive.
Ready for the zombie apocalypse, bro. I got my car and my spiked bat and everything.
Yeah.
It's a totally logical weapon. Let's go, bro. I saw the movie.
Yeah, but it's not something that I'm like super, that I'm like, desperate to fucking see because the number one, I have fucking asthma and allergies.
You need a
You
doctor.
feel me? So like a
couldn't even enjoy the blast.
strong pollinated gust can take your boy out. Like,
It doesn't take a dirty bomb to get rid of bird.
yes, exactly, dude.
I can see you like looking at the mushroom cloud like, oh, this is bullshit.
Right?
I can't I'm allergic to mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly. No, so actually, like X and I were, X, who was a former guest on your podcast, we were actually talking about what would be our first step, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to the inhaler factory, motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Just
I'm
make
gonna
sure
build
you're
an
set. Make sure
empire.
you're going to be set.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna build an empire off just that. So
Are you
feel
that
me?
asthmatic, like that you need your puffs?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it depends. It really depends on how active I am, but it's
Yeah.
definitely something I've been dealing with since I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
I've also never tasted fish, which is for a lot of people, they're like, oh my God, that's fucking egregious. You don't know what you're missing.
Are you allergic?
Yeah, definitely so. You know what I mean? So it's immediate anaphylactic shock. I fucking season out on
Depends
the
on the
ground.
fish. Some fish
There's
are
a
not
sex
missing
joke in there
much.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yoav and I are both allergic to
I
shellfish.
skipped over the innuendo, and I know you've tasted fish before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Luckily enough, I.
There's one. There's one you're not allergic to.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Also, kitty cats. It goes by many names.
Yeah.
Are you guys talking about pussy right now?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay, we passed that over.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm not really desperate for the fucking end. And I like I said, a lot of people, because of pop culture, are so fucking convinced.
There's
that
a
they're
romance. There's some kind of romance to it, man. Seeing the end. Well,
yeah, I know.
And I'm not in a rush for it either. And to be quite frank, I don't really want it to happen. I like the state
Here's
of,
the
I
real
like the state
question,
of
though.
affairs. I like that I can get clean toilet paper and clean water. Everything's chill.
Yeah, exactly. And you can go out for a drink with your friends without having to fucking scavenge for food or fight 6 very large white supremacists.
Absolutely.
For scraps.
It'd be trouble for both of us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, probably more trouble for you. I'm out. You know what I mean? Black people can run fast. So.
Not you. You got asthma.
That's what it is.
As long as you got an inhaler, and you can fucking hide in an alley.
As long as I've got an inhaler, dude, I'm fucking gone. You know what I mean? And you are on your own, sir.
Yeah.
No.
I can't jump high.
I don't want to
run
burst
fast.
y'all's bubble, but the end's not coming.
Yeah, no. And
I think
yeah.
I don't know if it's like a romanticization of the end of the world. I don't think people want the end of the world. I think that people keep seeing new articles every day of the end of the world's coming, and it's been like that for the last 2 decades.
They've been saying that for
yeah.
years, even longer than that. They've been saying.
I know, but
Every generation.
every year.
every
forget the last
generation-
20 years. The last 3 years, there has been more apocalypticism.
It's fear mongering.
Than no, well,
And fear mongering
It's-
is an effective way to sell paper.
I agree,
There's
but at the same time,
there's-
there's more than just the fear mongering. Because yes, there is a whole inflated panic thing going on, and people are purposely trying to make you freak out. But also, you should be kind of freaking out because all of the volcano eruptions, and you open the fucking newspaper the next day, and there's a mass shooting with an invisible sniper somewhere, and there's a fucking.
Hey, bro, we're from America. Mass shootings happen every day.
Well, yeah, but then you open the paper again, and it's a new record.
Yeah, dude.
And then you open the paper again,
man.
and there's fucking murder hornets, and then
I'm
you
from
open the
fucking
paper
Colorado,
again.
baby.
Mexican.
This is the birthplace of mass shootings, man.
Yeah. Oh fuck, dude. Didn't even consider that one. But I'm saying every day you open the paper and there's some new apocalyptic end of the world fucked up shit
Yeah.
happening. You
Yeah,
open the
definitely.
paper and it's murder hornets and rape mosquitoes
So
that
to-
make their debut.
To human, there's only 2 motivating factors. It's fear and greed. So
Yeah.
Did you
You
just
can only
did you
motivate
just say
humans.
rape mosquitoes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
raping mosquitoes, dude. It's an epidemic.
It's an
actually.
epidemic.
you guys want to talk about getting raped by mosquitoes? I had West Nile virus earlier in the summer. You guys remember how bad the mosquitoes were earlier this summer?
Yeah,
in the summer.
And the moths, too.
Dude, I couldn't go outside without coming back in with for 30 seconds just to take the dog out to piss. I couldn't come back without 10 mosquito bites on me. And I got West Nile, man. It was a bizarre sickness. Like,
Watch the glass on the table.
You got West Nile?
I got West Nile, early, like
So
June.
what, were you just shitting violently?
No, man. I had a rash around my like abdomen,
Sexy.
and that's how it started.
Yeah.
And then it just turned into
It gave your ass some color.
My body, shut up.
Melanized.
My body just went through like just pain. What's the word I'm looking for? Just like aches. Like my body ached, and it ended with 4 days of feeling like I had blue balls. Like that's where it ended. It was in my fucking balls. Dude.
Jesus Christ.
And like that's the only way to
weird.
What a horrible disease.
That is
It
racist.
sucked. Bro.
Yeah,
It
that was
sucked.
really like I could deal with everything else, but the feeling of
the
blue
4
balls
days of blue balls.
is like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that, boys.
And trust me, knocking one out didn't help. So it
Oh
wasn't blue
wow,
balls,
it's just
dude.
constant.
It just
dude.
did, yeah.
Dude, a
was
friend
rough.
of mine actually, he had meningitis. He got it
that's scary.
dude, and he had like a meningitis like kind of thing with his brain. I don't know if it's always like
is,
brain
yeah.
centric. Okay, but so he had that, and he's basically had he was describing like him having a migraine for half a year. And he was like, "Oh, dude, there were times where I would look at my pistol and be like, you know what I mean?" And I can understand it,
dude.
man. Like, like especially like living with fucking chronic pain is crazy,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been actually experiencing intense headaches for the last 3 weeks straight, and I've been taking like fucking Aleve and fucking every single medicine under the sun.
Yeah.
How's your magnesium? You take magnesium?
I do take magnesium. I take calcium. I take fucking. I tried like all of the garbage American medicine that I promised myself I'd never tried.
Yeah.
I did the fucking ibuprofen. I did the.
Well, you
fucking
don't have
Advil.
ibuprofen in Israel?
No, we have we don't have an FDA. We have like a separate, different like body that we have like slightly alternative but roughly similar medicine. It's like
Yeah, I would imagine so.
it's like it's like similar. They're like siblings chemically. They just like work better in certain aspects. So it's it's not FDA approved, but it's still like equally.
So what do you run to like for a headache in Israel? Like, is it because we have a sediment? You can take acetaminophen or you can take ibuprofen.
Yeah.
I take
Or
either.
marijuana.
Well, there's an Acamol or an Optalgin, and it's just like
Is that the brand name or that's the chemical?
That's the brand name, I think. I don't know. I'm not a headacheologist.
Well, how often are you nutting?
How often am I nutting?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're asking the hard-hitting questions on the spot.
He's
Okay.
26. I bet he's nutting twice a day.
Weekly.
That's me on a bad day, but usually it's an average of like 4 times a week.
4 times a week, because that's going to help your head, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to help your head.
Yeah, dude, relieve that pressure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything's interconnected, man. You know what I mean? If your balls are swollen, your brain is also swollen. That's scientific.
It's called testicularitis.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Kirk,
We'll get back to you on what
Testicularitis. It's when you're too testicular and it's
What's
a
up?
problem now.
hey, I wanted to say what's up to Kirk. Kirk's on.
Hey, Kirk.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, how are you doing?
Living the dream.
Yeah, did you bust today?
I have not.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I have
you
not.
wanna
I can
do-
tell you?
Do you want to do that on the pod?
Yeah,
Like,
Kirk, do you want to talk right now?
Yeah.
We can
You know,
encourage you with some
I'll make
ASMR.
history.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
It's explicit. Like, it's cool, man. I took a piss on the pod last week. It was like I hit the side of the bowl because I was trying to be classy, but like the initial. Anyways, yeah, man. Hey, good to have you.
Welcome.
Dude, it's funny you
Glad to
say
be on.
that. I was listening to a Twitter Spaces, and it had Elon Musk, it had Vivek Ramaswamy, it had Alex Jones on it. And like Vivek is a presidential candidate, and he gets up and he just pisses while he's like, mic's on. And I don't know.
That's awesome.
Elon, he comes back and Elon's like, "You feeling better?"
Like the great thing about technology is like typically those things were it would only happen when your homie like had wireless headphones and you're playing video games, but now actual presidential candidates are on Twitter Spaces,
Just
pissing on fucking on the Twitter.
Brave new world.
Yeah, dude, the brave new world, man. Yeah, dude, I'm so thankful for this technology.
Our ancestors fought for this.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
really.
Yeah, this is what Dr. King marched for. Dude.
So, Kirk, we've got Yoav. Yoav, I don't want to mispronounce it, and Bird on. Yoav is from Israel. Bird's from right here in Colorado.
Right here.
Good to meet you guys.
Good to meet you too.
Yoav was there for October 7th. I don't know. You ready to talk about that? I wanted to save it for when you were on, Kirk.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Why don't we?
I can tell you the story of like where I was and what I was.
Yeah,
going
like
through
your
that.
9/11 story.
Yeah, what's your experience?
Okay, so the night before that, well, let's start by saying I had just moved into a new apartment in October with an Arabic roommate. And we were having a wonderful roommate dynamic. We fucking love each other like siblings, me, her, and another roommate. And we were all fucking,
females.
one female, one male. But we were all like a fucking small family. We were like siblings. It was awesome for a full 6 days. And then, so October 6th, I'm staying up at the bar. I'm not at the bar. I go home at some point. But I'm staying up until like 6 a.m. Hanging out with friends. I go to sleep. 6:30, the alarms start because it's October 7th and it's wartime. I am.
What do you mean a lot? Like
the bomb sirens. I'm in my apartment in Beersheba, which is like south center Israel, and I'm in my bed and I hear bomb sirens, which is
it common?
It's common during wartime, and just like it's always possible.
But this was a surprise on that morning.
That morning was a huge surprise. Basically, when that alarm sounds in Beersheba, it means you have about a minute to run to the nearest bomb shelter. Mine was like a block away. If you're closer to Gaza, it means you have 15 seconds to run to a bomb shelter.
Oh my god! And can we just describe for the viewership like the significance of the bomb shelters and talk about like the Iron Dome and
so basically there are two lines of defense mainly against like aerial attacks. One of them is the Iron Dome, which is a really cool guided missile system that shoots down the rockets as they approach Israel, and it's really cool.
You can watch videos.
That's awesome technology, man.
You watch it; it's Israeli fireworks. You go outside on a regular day.
You've seen it in person?
Dude, every day.
That's crazy.
Every day. You see like
intense,
two beams of light in the sky.
They're getting shelled every day.
You'd see two fireballs in the night sky meet and explode in the middle of the sky. It's like it's fireworks if you're trying to die.
But the difference with October 7th and the reason why it was like as the precursor to the like their raid across the border, right? Like the difference is that they'd
never done it to the scale before.
Thousand, like the scale, like essentially scaled up. So that
they fire like several thousand in a single morning, and they still have several thousand more for the next few days. But they were on October 7th. Their main goal was to overwhelm as much as possible. So they overwhelmed the sky, they overwhelmed the ground, they did whatever they can. They even sent people in like paragliders.
I saw that at the festival.
Yeah.
Like they were coming down.
Yeah.
Like that's scary. I saw the video. Like that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and typically, like, paragliders are the least threatening flying device I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like, then, like a hippie operating it.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we talking hang glider? But when you say paraglider,
no, you're talking about guys jumping out of planes.
Chair with like
it's like a hang glider propeller. It's like that movie with the girl with the geese where she's the goose mother.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes. But I don't know what you're talking about.
No one knows.
We keep cutting off.
You've never seen the movie?
No. What movie?
I want to hold on for a second. Kirk, are you still there?
Kirk, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. I just didn't hear from you for a while. So
Yeah.
I just missed me.
So basically, my story. I was going to bed at 6:30. The alarm comes on. Oh, by the way, we were going to talk about the lines of defense against the missiles. So there's the Iron Dome, intercepts missiles, and then there's bomb shelters strewn about everywhere throughout the cities. A lot of houses have them in the house if you can afford to build one, but usually the towns have like all sorts of bomb shelters within like a few minutes of each other.
So how many people would fit in that bomb shelter? And we're talking about a concrete box underground, right?
For one of the bombs, they vary in size depending on like where you are. The one next to my house can fit up to like 250 people.
Or,
Enough.
that's relatively
But
small.
like packed like sardines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so there's enough. Like nobody's like, there's not like one lone guy. Like, oh, we can't fit you in, man. Like,
No.
there's enough room for everybody to get in.
No, unlikely.
and
There's
are
also like a
there-
lot of bomb shelters, so
Yeah.
if you like missing one, you can head to the other.
Yeah,
one.
How long are you in this bomb shelter for? Packed like a
Oh,
sardine.
I didn't go to the bomb shelter, my guy. I had just been up until 6 a.m. I wake
went
up
to
at 6:30. I hear the alarms, and I say, out of fatigue and out of just like passion for life, I say, you know what? If I'm gonna fucking die, I'm gonna die in my own goddamn bed, in my own goddamn boxers,
Yeah.
on my own goddamn terms.
He said, Allah Akbar.
No, man, I respect that. I respect that. I fucking love that, man.
Yeah, but
And
then
the
11:30
Shabbat,
comes along, and I wake up, and there's still alarms, and I'm like, okay, maybe I rolled the dice enough on this.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. So I put the pants on, and also, you don't have to run to a bomb shelter. A stairwell in a concrete apartment building is mostly as good, like almost as good.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a tornado shelter. If you
So
were in
pretty much,
Oklahoma.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's what I did because I wasn't putting on a shirt and I wasn't running in the fucking.
I feel it.
Did they just leveled the city? I mean, you said it was.
So I was in Beersheba, which luckily a lot of the rockets fired from Gaza towards Israel get intercepted before they reach the urban areas. It's most rockets that get fired get intercepted into open spaces. Those that don't, it's usually like the things that hit the buildings. It's not always a direct hit. Sometimes the Iron Dome intercepts the rocket and the debris falls down.
still fucking terrifying.
It's fucking. When
Not
you hear an
maybe
alarm,
less
you need-
damage, but still fucking damage.
when you hear an alarm and you go to the shelter, you got to stay in the shelter for 15 minutes because debris can still rain on you and fuck you up.
Yeah.
Just slice through your car like butter. If you're still out and about.
Wow,
insane, man.
Yeah, just blazing hot steel.
Yeah.
Shrapnel.
So
Yeah.
this wasn't on the weather report.
Yeah, right.
This wasn't on the
Seriously,
weather.
dude.
So was there any indication from Israeli officials that like
That this was going to happen on October 7th? No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Not to the public.
No.
right?
not to, yeah,
No, I,
mean,
don't
I'm sure-
think they even like a lot of the people within
The government.
were surprised by this as well. I don't think there was a whole conspiracy where like people.
I mean, we're in America where like we knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen.
We knew 9/11 was going to happen.
You know, so
yeah.
Well, yeah, and
we have trust issues here.
Yeah, and
And I'm not saying
Yeah.
Netanyahu's trustworthy. He's a total
Yeah.
degenerate piece of shit asshole, and I fucking hate him. So there's
Netanyahu?
more than half the country does. Before the war started, fucking most of the country was up in arms trying to get him out because he was trying to like push an Article 2 and try to like control the Supreme Court and do all sorts of fuck shitty things and just putting his way into power.
Is he progressive or conservative? I don't know.
He's
much.
too far right for his own good.
Yeah,
he's
he's
conservative.
hyper-
He's
kind of
uh,
fascist conservative.
yeah,
almost,
in a lot of ways. He
neocon type.
So he tried to like fucking weaken the Supreme Court so where he can veto their laws, and when he did that, he also like there were protests for months, and they were like shutting down highways, and they were like doing all sorts of effort to like try to stop this. But months of fatigue later, all we got was a delay. They weren't able to stop this. And when it happened, they also slipped in like 9 different other laws.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Where they fuck over people and they just overwhelm the news so that they can't keep track
They
of all
always
of it.
do that.
That's
shit,
how they
yeah.
get us to send $100 billion to Ukraine.
Oh,
they just
yeah,
like slip
exactly.
it in.
It's so fucked up. It's like they'll have a law about one thing, and then there's like a little. And by the way, it's also
Yeah,
going to change
amendments.
this, and this.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
Whatever.
yeah.
Like, and if you vote yes, it's this. If you vote no, it's this. And it's like really like you don't even know.
Yeah, it's a very insidious way of like of policy making, especially, and that happens in America
and
all the time.
his entire
Like, yeah.
cabinet of clowns is deplorable, and they've been making life hell for a lot of people for no good reason. And
Cabinet of clowns. I like that, man.
Yeah, David.
I am not a fan of this
Yeah.
dude, and I'm not a fan of his people, and they've been ruining my country and making it an unsafe place for me and my family to be.
Would you mind talking a bit more about like, sort of like the current political climate or people's reaction to
Everything
the
going on right
response against to Gaza? and
So
stuff like
here's
that?
the thing: is I've been here in Denver for the last 2 months. I've only been in Israel for the month.
Yeah, you said you left about a month after that happened.
Yeah, and I'm gonna come back there tomorrow. But generally, it's mixed in a lot of ways. A lot of people on social media look at
Is he like
Israelis-
Trump in a way?
Netanyahu is definitely Israel's
Yeah,
Trump.
so he's brought
Trump,
out
but
a-
he's actually smart in kind of a stupid way, and he's a fucking
he's a fascist.
yeah.
politically savvy.
He's like a Trump that avoided prison,
Yeah, I got you.
and like basically,
A real dictator.
it really puts the dick in dictator, man.
Yeah, no, I got you. So like you said, like the sort of the the political wave was shifting against him already, right?
Yes, and then like when the war happened, it suddenly quieted that, which I think was kind of part of his plan if he knew about it and he let it happen anyway. Because as soon as something external attacked us, a third party,
Nothing unites people more than war.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
that
And
there is a
otherism.
potential that maybe that was part of his plan.
Yeah, was there foul play involved? Like, was it talked about beforehand?
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, especially like surrounding this entire issue, you know, just from what I've seen being outside, I've seen so many different, conspiracy theories. They knew about it.
They killed their own people. There was like an article.
It was actually
published.
RAF soldiers who were doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And shit
They
like
did it
that.
on
Like,
purpose so that they can justify
What
the
is that?
genocide,
What is
blah,
that?
blah,
What
blah.
is that? What does that? What does that feel like?
It's fucking horrible. Like, have you ever had to? So you're from America, right?
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah.
America.
The United States.
The United States.
Fuck yeah.
The people that came along and killed the people that were originally here and fucking destroyed their entire culture and
I'm
just.
sorry.
Absolutely.
What did Israel do?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? So here's.
I'm sensing a lot of judgment here, bro.
Here's the thing.
It was Moses, man. It's chill.
Yeah, manifest destiny.
Let my people go,
Yikes.
but also we're gonna hold
Get the
these
fuck out of
people.
here.
So here's the comparison, right?
It wasn't Moses.
The
It was like
Pilgrims,
1948.
right? Yeah, it's fucked up. The whole thing's. But the thing is, like in this case, in the America's case, the people here, the Pilgrims didn't belong here. They just came along and they were like, "Oh, new land! I'm gonna put a garden right there. Here's some blankets full of diseases for you and your people."
Yeah.
They didn't belong here, and yet they did that.
Yeah.
And now, Israel, the Jewish people, are indigenous to that land,
Yeah. And
like it or not.
Yeah, and that's
And
also
like
something.
I'm not saying you should remove everybody that was there originally and put Israel there. I support coexistence. I always have.
Well, isn't that the Nakba though? Isn't that how
The
Israel
Nakba
started
happened
the
after
depopulation?
the Nakba happened after the war.
The borders of Palestine have been changed forcefully over time. In 1931, there were more than 850,000 Palestinian Arabs in the region. But with the rise of Hitler, Jewish flight from Europe became even more urgent, and Palestine started to see the biggest wave of Jewish immigration yet. A UN special committee proposed the land be divided into two states, a Jewish state and an Arab state. Within this proposed area were hundreds of thousands of Palestinian Arabs who had lived there for generations. By the end of 1947, Zionists had several well-developed paramilitary forces, the largest one known as the Haganah. The Haganah adopted what was called Plan Dalet, or Plan D, a set of brutal instructions called for the destruction of Arab villages by setting fire to, blowing up, and planting mines. Plan D became the blueprint for carrying out the ethnic cleansing of historic Palestine to make room for a new state. Roughly 750,000 Palestinians had been forcefully expelled, and more than 500 villages.
So like there was the before even Israel's
After
independence.
World War II.
Yeah, before even the end of World War II. Before
What's the Nakba?
yeah.
the
Yeah. What
Nakba-
is that? Yeah.
Okay, let's dial it back for a second. So before 48, it was still the British
Kyle coming
controlled.
through with the fucking.
coming in with the good Kirk coming in with the good questions.
My bad, Captain Kirk.
He's known for that. Yeah, Captain. Yeah, absolutely. He's known for it.
So before it was Israel's independent country, it was the British mandate Palestine.
Mandate.
And before then, there were Jews there, but it wasn't exactly peaceful for them. They would still have to hide. There was the Mount Hebron massacre, which is basically October 7th in like 19 I want to say 28 or something.
Again, Palestinians against Jews.
Yeah, just people saying like, oh, hey, Jewish village, let's slaughter them in the most brutal way possible, as much as possible, so that they can't respond in time.
They're just haters. I don't understand. Everybody hates
There's just
Jews.
like a conflict that's been going on for thousands of years, and I'll never understand.
Yeah, and especially I feel like there's like a deep correlation with like any kind of dictatorial powers or shit like that. Like if you look at like Rosewood, and stuff like that. Like in the black community, very similar things happen where like people get there. They they start getting their rights. They start leveling up a little bit, and then you have like
some fuckheads who are like, nope, not gonna let that happen. Yeah. So basically, in 48, the War for Independence happened, and then once Israel came out on top of that war, that is when the Nakba happened. And I'm gonna be real with you.
What does Nakba mean?
It's an Arabic word.
Catastrophe.
What is it?
Catastrophe.
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 Okay.
Oh, as a like yeah, and I can sort of see the correlation to Holocaust.
So basically,
Holocaust means
after the
fire.
war, here's the thing. You know how countries tend to not teach you about their ugly sides of history?
Yeah.
Of course.
I didn't really learn about the Nakba in school. I learned about like the War of Independence, and I was also a very bad listener as a child, mind you. So maybe this was on me and not on them. It probably was on me and not on them, I want to say, because my teachers were fantastic. But I don't know the full details. I know that like after the war ended, millions of people were displaced, and there was a lot of fucking horrible shit happening. I actually went to brunch with a friend today, whose sister-in-law is Palestinian, and she told him about the story of her grandpa, who her grandpa's neighbor actually got lynched by an Israeli mob because every country has its fuckheads,
Yeah.
and
lynchers apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently lynching.
I
is,
thought that was an American.
No, dude,
I thought that
yeah.
was just between me and you.
Dude,
Murray.
humans like to throw shit.
I thought that was just us, bro.
Humans have always liked to throw shit. We're skipping rocks on ponds.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? We'll throw a rock at you. But I'll tell you what, man. There's a reason people are fighting over Israel, because it's like a fucking oasis in the middle of the desert. Like, it's beautiful,
Is it?
beautiful
It's all
there.
fertile
It's
and-
beautiful.
There's so much
They understand irrigation really well. They're like
Yeah.
experts at irrigation. So like they just, dude, it's awesome. And it's like in the middle of the desert, and it's just like this oasis. And it's like, obviously they're going to fight for that land because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, but let's also not be reductive and say like there are a ton of nations surrounding it that are also like
Interested in it.
like developed
that have
and,
decent, yes,
and fucking
No,
decent.
you're right. You're right. You're
So,
right.
yeah, let's not.
But
be
I'm just saying, and I haven't been to those areas, so I can't really say. But all I'm saying, but
Exactly, yeah.
but dude,
the thing
Israel
is, it's not
just
a
so
monolith,
beautiful.
though. I want to say that you're right, because it is a great country, and a lot of people want it for its own resources and reasons. But there's
Yeah.
also a lot of people that are like, no, we just want the Jews out of there, out of principle. And there's a lot of people that are like, well, I
from
want
the
this
river
other
to
thing.
the sea.
I mean, is it the resources or is it the like religious?
I think it's
significance?
the cultural context and not the resources. I think it's like because so here's the thing: Israel's if you look at Israel, including the West Bank, not including the West Bank, it's a fantastic country. Quarter of the population is Arabic. A lot of them are very happy. Equal rights, fucking awesome socialism. You don't see a fraction of
the
homeless-
peaceful Arabic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like nearly no homelessness there compared to here.
Yeah.
Fucking
Why is that?
We
It's
invented
because you guys suck. I'm sorry, I love you, but you suck.
Yeah. Welcome to America, the land of trash.
Yeah, it's like most of the trash is your fault too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But also like,
don't you like plastic, bro? Don't you need it?
ask me in a decade, I'll probably develop a tolerance for it.
Yeah.
But also medical insurance won't run you an arm and a leg. Fucking, it's a great country, and I'm a big fan of it. I myself am on disability, and it treats me really, really, really well.
Yeah, I actually had a question that I thought of earlier because you were talking about how you were draft dodging, and
Not on purpose.
but no, I wanted to actually talk about sort of the health services, and especially like the mental health services. Is that more of a thing in Israel? Like here, like we're just now sort of coming to this like shift where a lot of people are, more conscious about mental health services. We're making them more available, especially for people of color and things like that. Is that like a thing there, or is it a bit more regressive?
I definitely think there is a similar amount of progress being made. I definitely think that it's accessible, it's talked about, it's open. There is definitely a macho syndrome thing where some men are like, "Oh, I'm gonna shove all these feelings up my asshole and drink a beer."
Yeah. Can you guys drink? Can you guys drink beer? It's not like being.
No, it's halal. It's haram in Islam, but in Judaism, actually. We be drinking.
They drink, they fuck, and
hell yeah,
Shalom.
We drink, we fuck, we shalom.
Yeah. Dude, is it frowned upon to fuck outside marriage? I mean, with like any Abrahamic religion, right? Like,
you know what he was telling me? What's really
like if you're religious,
is hate fucking. That's what he was telling me.
Yeah, hate fucking is not kosher.
Oh, come on.
I know.
You've never wanted to like.
Oh, I do it. I'm not kosher. I've eaten enough foreign pussy and bacon to set the rapture back a few decades, man. But like,
foreign pussy and bacon. Hey, but I want to ask a question. Getting back to October 7th.
Sure. Thank you for that.
So that happened. Israel, your country, has made, along probably with my country, has made advancements.
And what is your country?
My country is the United States of America.
Oh yeah.
And I'll make it well known. I love the United States of America. I like.
Here's the thing.
Conservative, but not a neocon. But I also respect and want to hear other people's opinions. So don't worry about it.
So actually, there are a lot of voices within Israel that are saying the same thing. They're saying this has gone too far. Like
I don't think so. That's not.
I am also ambivalent about it. But there's a lot of groups within Israel that do see the reality and yet still say maybe we've gone too far and we need to be more accurate.
I think it's a fuck around and find out type thing. Like
fuck around and find out for sure.
You want to come in October 7th and wake Yoav up at 6 a.m. when he's trying to go to bed and kill 1,700 innocent Jewish people.
Two of my friends got captured and like two of my friends got killed.
Like, but also
no, you're good. You're absolutely fine. Thank you for your condolences. But like. Go ahead.
No, I also think it's about like, and if I could come in with sort of like, my liberal, disgusting views, I think like we should be thinking about like fucking proportional response. Like we are dealing with people who do not have the governmental resources, especially not this support from the United States government. You know what I mean? Especially within Gaza, although they are getting like weapons and resources from other Muslim countries, it does not.
I get
equate,
it, but this is not a new issue, right?
No.
This is this has been going on and on and on.
Because we were a little ahead of ourselves.
At what point, and I think we got to the point where it's done now, and basically it is. It's
if we can trust,
is it? Like,
I mean, they've leveled.
Let this man break it down because he's from Israel.
They've leveled Gaza, right?
Yeah, they've leveled Gaza in a lot of ways. Like most of the people are displaced, and none of it feels
dead.
Safe. Here's the thing, right?
And that's
so
insane.
Hamas is a terrorist organization that cannot be trusted for a single word that they fucking say. That being said, even though we know they're lying about their numbers, they definitely are not, because like they released like names and then like you look at the list of names from an operation that happened a few years ago and it's some of the same names.
Have you seen the videos where it's always the same guy running around screaming?
Yeah,
have you seen those? Obviously.
And he's like, as one morning, and like morning of October 7th, he's like, Allahu Akbar, and then like the next few days, he's like, oh no, the consequences, they are so painful.
And you know the guy I'm talking about.
But here's the thing, right, is even if those numbers are wrong, which they probably are,
inflated, you think
what numbers are you searching for?
14,000 dead Palestinians, right? That's what we're talking about.
Something like that.
So you think that's inflated? You think it's probably less?
How many Palestinians are dead, Kirk?
Unfortunately, the numbers come from the Hamas Authority and groups that are willing to lie about it. So I can't.
So here's the thing, right? I know, and yet you take a area that's about the size of Manhattan Island that's got 2.3 million people in it.
It's basically like Manhattan.
Basically the same size of Manhattan. You cut off their food and water supply and electricity, and you bomb them in their houses, and you cripple their morale. What's a percent of 2.3 million? Like 23,000 people. That's a realistic expectation to have, as horrible as that is to say. Because the thing that's happening right now as a result of the October 7th massacre, I am not a tactician. I don't know what the best response to this situation is. I'm sure that there's things.
No, but you are an Israeli citizen.
I'm an Israeli citizen, and I know suffering because I'm Jewish. I am a descendant of people that have narrowly survived the Holocaust, escaped the Holocaust. My grandparents' siblings were actually killed in the Holocaust.
But
from the United States, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
My family.
You were 7 years late, but thank you.
How magnanimous of you, dude. You're very welcome for us saving your ass.
Because on my dad's side, they dodged the Holocaust as well. So that's
I was telling you about my family. Had to bounce. So.
Well, a bunch of bouncers. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's more of us around.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Pay the cover charge.
But what I was about to say is that there is a sense of empathy and there is a sense of pain because we know that not all 2.3 million of them fucking hate us.
Yeah.
Some people have been radicalized to think so.
Yeah.
I don't respect those people. There's fuckheads in any country, just like there's fuckheads in the United States who
Right.
You were talking about percentages. You know, you get 100 people.
The problem,
one out of 100 people are going to be a fuckhead.
The problem is that the fuckheadians of Israel,
probably are.
The fuckheadians of Israel, they like to fuck. They like to have children that parrot their ideas.
Yeah.
It's that's why Netanyahu won the last election is because there's just so many stupid children who vote for this dude.
That's how you get conservatives.
There's a lot of that.
I'm probably going to catch flack online for saying this.
They refuse to stop procreating.
That's hilarious. There's a lot of that going on right now, though, man. It's super intelligent people aren't reproducing. They just,
and also, I have to say, I think everyone deserves the right to fucking have kids.
Right? I agree. I just wish they'd be a little bit into less
this
stupid
eugenicist message. You feel me? But at the same time, I do agree that there are some motherfuckers who shouldn't have kids, man.
I think they should have kids. They should just go to school first.
Yeah, you should have to get a license to have a kid.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly,
I've always wanted one.
Go through some testing.
No, but that would also be eugenicist in nature.
Well, it's a weird conversation. Let's go back to October 7th, though. Let's go back to the war, because this is a serious topic. As much fun as I'm having with y'all, I want to pay respect to the people that are involved in this.
Same.
Yeah.
So where do you think it goes?
Yeah.
Let me finish wrapping up. Up to
now. Yeah.
Because I don't know. Because Netanyahu's avoiding responsibility. There's conversations about the day after that's supposed to be held, and he's I'm not going to talk about that right now. We can talk about that later.
What's the day after?
The day after is the concept of okay, what happens the day after the war? Are we going to let them back in? Or are we going to rebuild their houses for them? It's a whole conversation that he's refusing to have. Because he doesn't like the accountability. We were when the war started, he's yeah, sure, there's some blame to place somewhere, but let's deal with that after the war. That's his catchphrase.
Dick Cheney and Halliburton will be right there.
Yeah. Fucking, God damn it, dude.
Yeah, to rebuild Gaza for the better.
Yeah.
Right? No.
Qatar fucking offered to rebuild all of Gaza if there was an immediate ceasefire, but Israel was yeah, sure, if they release all of the hostages, and then Hamas was no, so that didn't go anywhere. I wish it had.
Yeah.
And Qatar is just going to build a giant soccer stadium?
And cover
with Indian slaves.
And fill it with some fucking...
bury all their enemies under the field.
Yeah.
Spike all the drinking water in the area with homophobia and just...
Yeah, they're making the frogs hate. That's not right. No, yeah.
That was funny.
So going back to the day of you hit in the stairwell.
The day of the war. Yeah,
you hit in the stairwell, and then
my roommates had actually been gone for that weekend before the war started, and then the war started. One of them left south to the very, very tippity top south of Israel to meet with his mom, and he stayed there.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you're saying your two Arab roommates.
It's one Arab roommate.
And he's saying the top of the south, which I don't think would be the bottom of the...
Al-Kamahal.
Forgive me. Were you shelled
Let this man talk, so we're
town?
both...
Were you under fire?
I was under fire. I was under rocket fire. There were a rocket siren happening every fucking minute and a half for the first few hours. Yeah, you can hear either an explosion in the sky or you can hear an explosion of impact.
And how many miles away from the Gaza border were you?
I just don't know off the top of my head. I want to say 38.
Oh, wow,
that's it?
Jesus Christ.
Israel's tiny. It's about the size of New Jersey.
Denver to Boulder, basically.
Yeah,
Less,
what the
yeah.
Less.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Jesus.
something like that.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was thinking like 250.
That's like the ballpark. It's not a big country, my guy. That being said, so yes, I could hear the explosions. It's actually become commonplace over the next month after that because you'd hear it like at least 3 times a day. I talked to my roommates yesterday. Turns out it's like calmed down a little bit in my area. It's like twice a week, maybe.
So even as Israel is just obliterating,
even as
there's still fire.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is not new. They have been fighting with propaganda forever. Recently they actually,
that's the way new wars are waged.
Mental warfare.
Yeah, they actually they knew what
warfare.
Psychological warfare.
Psychological warfare,
Kurt.
because they've been firing rockets from mosques and schools and hospitals and then when Israel retaliates, they make sure to capture that in 4K and remove some of the context behind it and be like, oh no,
Wow.
Israel's
Put it on
attacking.
TikTok
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Israel's a saint in this scenario because
By far, no.
I don't think there's any saint in foreign policy.
I don't think there's any saint in war.
And war.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
That being said, I do think that there is a lot of collateral damage that's being caused on purpose, either because of a malicious Israeli pulling the trigger that will face repercussions, or because of a Hamas operative that put children in the way to make a point. And there's a famous Golda Meir quote, and she said, roughly, we can achieve peace when they decide to love their children more than they hate us.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
For those listening, who is Golda Meir?
Golda Meir is she was one of the first prime ministers of Israel. She was actually raised in Denver. Fun fact. You can go to the house she originally grew up in. It's on MSU campus.
Oh, wow. Fuck yeah, dude.
Checks out this liberal shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, that's basically what's happening is that there's like a propaganda war. Hamas knew what would happen when they attacked them. And they knew.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course they fucking
What
knew.
were you thinking?
But what they're doing is actually very strategic. It's waging war on multiple fronts. Not only are they like actually physically waging war, which is like, doing
they got Hezbollah on their side. They got Yemen on their side. They are themselves like
But it's also
an Iranian
psychological.
proxy
They got
army.
weird American liberals on their side blocking highways.
Yeah.
And shit.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got
they-
me.
I don't think you're that one.
No,
but,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
But yeah,
I do not support Hamas.
We believe you.
And I get from like a certain standpoint, like you don't want to see human death, you don't want to see human catastrophe, you don't want to see
No, none of us do.
and I wouldn't put genocide on it because it's but
Yeah.
maybe,
I agree.
But
So
it's not like you're shooting them into
there's
a
a
ditch.
thought that I've been having, and it's been kind of dumbed down, but I am kind of a dumbed down person, so bear with me.
Not at all. Don't sell yourself.
No,
short.
speak true, brother. Go ahead.
If it looks like a squirrel, and it moves like a squirrel, and it sounds like a squirrel, it might not be a squirrel. It's definitely squirreling a little bit.
Yeah.
It might not be a genocide because a genocide by definition is like the attempt to exterminate a race of people, like personally, like erase them.
Yeah.
But there is
There
much
are some
effort.
elements of that.
Yeah, there are some elements of that because there's some people who have had their aunt raped and murdered on October 7th who are seeing red right now and are pushing that button. But most of the other people are not doing that. There's actually a tremendous amount of effort being placed to conserve human lives, at least in the name of the bombing, in terms of the bombing, because they dropped the pamphlets, they hit them with the knock on the door, which is like a lighter, smaller rocket that hits the top of a building before they hit it with bigger rockets to like bring the whole building.
Warning.
A warning shot, basically.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah, get out.
Yeah, I actually wasn't familiar with the concept of a knock on the door until he told me. I called him.
Yeah,
when
that's
he
the
was-
first I've heard
Me either.
that.
I never heard it. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like a tremendous amount of effort that's being placed to basically, because a lot of people see Israel right now and they see the surface and they're like, oh, these are modern day Nazis, but there's an argument to be made that the IDF is one of the most moral armies in the world because of how they approach the thing. Because if any other country was behind the wheel right now, there would be, in my opinion, a lot more civilian casualty.
It was
there would be a lot,
bloodshed.
a lot less consideration.
Yeah.
Because like when they attacked on October 7th, they didn't have any consideration for us.
Yeah.
There was mass rape. There was fucking arson, torture.
Yeah.
My friend had her
Kidnapping.
entire family killed, like mother,
Jesus.
father, 2 sisters, 2 brothers.
Can I ask you too? You said you had a couple friends killed too. You want to just name them, give them some honor here on the waves?
Yeah, actually, thank you.
No, I'm glad you said that
Oh,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
So I had a friend. His name was Yaniv Cerruti. And he was a huge fan of Tupac, actually. We grew up with him in middle school.
Yeah, bro.
He was a fucking awesome dude. He was a gangster. He was all about that rap life. He
Yeah.
fucking had a nice Mercedes, and he would just ride along the fucking
he was a
hometown.
nigga in Israel.
He basically, man,
He's
he had my respect. He was riding around with the
A black
top down,
Israelite, if you will.
top
No,
down,
joking.
fucking.
They're
rap
around.
music.
They're around.
I know.
They
Yeah.
exist. They're rare, but they exist.
He was a bit of a troublemaker in middle school, and as I remember him, but he was always kind. But then, at the party, he was working as a security guard
At the festival.
at the Nova Festival.
Wow.
And what wound up happening was he actually was able to load up 7 or 8 different people into his car and drive to the nearest hospital. Everybody but him lived.
Wow.
How exactly did that happen? Was he on his return trip, or like was he already shot? Like
He was already
bleeding
shot
out?
and he was bleeding out, but he saw other people that were shot but still alive.
Wow,
And
what a go! And his name again?
Yaniv Cerruti.
Yo, shouts out to fucking Yaniv.
Yeah, man. Fucking, I'll
Fucking
drink
hero.
to that guy, hero. Yeah, absolutely.
dude.
Cheers.
Fucking,
Cheers, man, cheers.
this world does not create many heroes, but when it does, we gotta give fucking shouts out to them because heroes die a horrible death.
He'd get a Bronze Star in America, war hero. Risked your life to save others. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Bronze Star.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I don't want to talk about this other friend who died, but I can talk about the 2 other friends who were kidnapped. One of them was released in the hostage exchange, and she's a wonderful person.
Have you spoken to her?
I haven't. I'm kind of afraid to, because I don't want to open up old wounds. I'm sure that they didn't treat her well there. Right?
Yeah.
They make them. Here's the thing. They were really strategic with the release of hostages because they never released full families. They released individuals with like parties of interest still being captive, and they told them like, if you tell them what we did to you, we're gonna
You
hurt
have your
these other
family.
parties.
Mafioso shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
And,
like,
and then also like it's I mean, again, pragmatically, this is, I'm not trying to be horrible when I say this, but
You're good.
also like there is a especially when you have like multiple members of a family, you would release one because of the fact that like, it's a bigger bargaining
leverage.
chip. Yeah, exactly.
Like they released this old woman, and she was like, "Yeah, no, they treated me nice." And the entire extremist pro-Palestine crowd picked that up and was like, "Yeah, see, Hamas is fine. They're better than you." And it's like they still
They kidnapped her.
They still have her fucking husband.
Yeah, they still kidnap and murder people.
Yeah,
God knows what he's going through.
Yeah.
are you exactly? It's
Are you
like,
are you nervous to go back? How do you feel about going back? I mean, it's your home.
I am not one to ask because I've always been kind of crazy and kind of loose and goosey with my life. But that being said,
And
There's
war
a-
is not foreign to you.
war is not foreign to. I grew up in it. I've always I remember being in fucking 4th grade, walking into the living room, watching a car explode on television. And I'm like, oh, what movie is that? No, that's real life. That would happen not too far from my house. I was like, oh shit, shit's real.
We merely adopted the darkness.
Exactly.
Dude,
But what I was about to say was,
that's beautiful, though, Bird. It's beautiful.
That's actually a Bane quote from The Dark
Yeah.
Knight Rises, but
I have another banger quote for you.
I was
from,
born in the darkness.
Oh wait, hold on.
You merely adopted the dog.
There is another banger quote from Marge Simpson.
Oh, word. Yeah.
Do the voice.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. Don't even attempt.
What's the quote?
Doomsday is family time.
Yeah.
Oh, word.
So my grandma's there, my
That
parents are
is
there,
beautiful.
my brothers are there,
Yeah.
my friends are there,
That's-
my roommates are there. Like I
That
can't.
is.
That's a
so-
thought, dude.
Yeah, that's profound.
I
That is
can't leave them there.
that is
Even if I'm
profound.
gonna be staring at a mushroom cloud and contemplating my choices, like I'd rather be there with my family than like be here and then something happens to my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
It's God forbid, knock on wood.
I mean, you've seen like the photos like from like the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, which is in antiquity, but they, as they dig them up, like there's people hugging each other as they in their last moments.
Yeah, like
It's intense.
I got asked a question. I was having a like sort of like a social debate with some of my more like liberal friends, and they were like, "Yo, I really don't feel like any connection to America, given like what this place has done." And I was like, number one, as a black person, like where the fuck would I go that it's not racist? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like there's like just like American imperialism has carried that kind of view of us all over the world. But not only that, like I've I guess I agree with that. Essentially saying like, I'm sort of tied to the soil after, losing, my brother to the police and all of that stuff. Like I'm integrated into the fight regardless of whether or not I want to.
You're also an important part of this community, my guy. Like, we need you.
Thanks, man.
Tied to the soil. This motherfucker is a poet.
Yeah.
Tied to the soil. man.
To piggyback on that, you have to, whether you're liberal, far left, far right, you got to appreciate that you're in the United States of America. And for some reason, whether it's divine or not, war hasn't come here yet.
Yeah.
This actually reminds me of an earlier point that I forgot to make, even though I alluded to it, which is a lot of people are criticizing Israel for being a colonialist settler state by a bunch of European white Jews that came along and just decided to fuck everything that they didn't have anything to do with.
Yeah.
Even if the Jewish people weren't indigenous to that land, which they are.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, the United States, are you just going to control Z that now?
Yeah.
If you're holding Israel to the same standard? It's
exactly.
You're sitting comfortably in your couch and drinking your fucking, not Starbucks because you're protesting, but you're drinking your Frappuccino extra caramel
From
pumpkin spice latte from... No, Dunkin' also supports Israelis. They'd probably protest them
really?
too.
Yeah. My girlfriend is
Shout out
actually
to
a
Dunkin' and
boycotter.
Starbucks. I usually don't like you, but thank you for
Yeah,
supporting
we'll take
my
your
country.
sponsorship if you're listening.
Yeah.
No,
the strawberry on
and I
top.
do sense a bit of like fucking hypocrisy when, especially like my girlfriend is like she's 24 and like although I am a yeah, thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
No, but although I am like very what I would consider to be like socially conscious and shit like that, like at the same time I do recognize the hypocrisy when people are like judging Israel sort of like from on high and then like not realizing that like Yoav actually educated me on this. He was like, yo, there are 16.1 million Jews, right?
Yeah,
like,
and that's like still before the Holocaust.
on the planet.
On the planet, we had like 16.1 billion Jews right now, and before the Holocaust, we had like 16.3. We're still pre-Holocaust levels right now, and like, there's how many?
God, I gotta find a Jewish wife, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, we gotta start having babies, man.
Yeah, you gotta procreate, dude.
I don't want to change
what I mean?
these diapers, but I'll do it for humanity if I must.
Yeah. If you must,
I'll do it for Judaism.
Yeah.
Amen.
Get rich, dude. That's the goal.
That's
and
the
then you can
Jewish
have
way.
somebody else. You can have someone Spanish.
Take care of your children.
Yeah. Someone Spanish, take care of your children.
Lupe.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do.
She's the real mom here.
I'm gonna do the best of both worlds. I'm just gonna find a Jewish big booty Latina and respectfully,
oh my God,
respectfully develop a relationship.
When you find her, let me know where she is. I will be dating.
If I find a second one, I will.
She'll have a sister. Yeah, they always do.
I met a.
Or for this guy, a daughter, maybe.
Yeah, right. I met kind of a unicorn. Right?
Oh, word?
Yeah. I met a BMJ.
What is that?
BMJ is a black Mexican Jew.
Wow.
My nigga. Probably the rarest person on the fucking planet. Yeah. How his parents met up, I'm very curious.
The stars aligned.
Yeah, the stars aligned. You know what I mean.
So she's gonna guilt you. She's gonna fight with you.
Yeah,
and she's gonna have a fat ass.
Sign me up right now.
And wide childbearing hips.
Yeah,
tamales every Christmas.
Tamales. Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, every Hanukkah. I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a podcast. So
tamales for Hanukkah, dude. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's it. That's a new movement. # tamales for Hanukkah.
This is a podcast, so you can't see, but I'm actually slicing a hole open in my thumb right now, so I can sign the blood pact because I want this right now.
I've always wanted a Latina woman.
Yeah, but hold on. I feel like we're getting off topic.
We are, and I do that.
It's fine. I just want to circle back to
please do
finish paying respect to this topic before we finish.
You did not finish saying the names, and I feel like I do have to apologize for that. Kind of got off. If you want to go and approach that.
The hostage. So 2 friends murdered. One friend I mentioned. One friend I didn't. Yaniv Sarudi I mentioned. Rest in peace. The other friend I don't really want to mention at this point in time. Mm-hmm. And then the 2 other friends that were kidnapped. One of them, her name is Moran, and she was freed. Thank God.
Mm-hmm. Is she young?
She's a little older, but she's still she's a young adult.
Yeah. I got you. Like early 20s, mid 20s.
Early 30s. Okay, late 20s.
Yeah. Oh, it must have been fucking brutal for her,
dude.
They just grabbed her and put her in a van and took her somewhere.
I don't think it was a van. I think they, you know what? I don't want to speak out of turn because I hadn't gotten the full details from her, and I don't want to use hearsay.
Sure,
very respectful.
But then there is another person who is still a hostage, still kidnapped, and I want to pay respects and say his name. His name is Ran Gvili. He is from my hometown, and I am praying and hoping for his peace and safety as soon as possible. And
free my nigga.
Yeah,
free my nigga Han Vili.
Prayers out to that guy, man. Seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was about to say, because we were talking about the state of things right now. I was describing Israel as it is. Israel, excluding the West Bank, not including the West Bank, great country. In my opinion, very high minority representation, very good progressive values. It's just that the leadership is atrocious and needs to be replaced ASAP. Same as America.
Yeah, exactly. Same as so many developed nations.
Yeah. It's the people are fantastic, the infrastructure is fantastic, the country is amazing, the land is beautiful, but they're just the wrong old white pedophile people.
What's the deal with that, man?
I don't know.
It seems like that's
not enough people who like life run for president.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. The choices that we have for our leadership is
I feel like the people that we actually like and want to spend our holidays with
want to make money and fuck
are
bitches,
only the people that we like aren't the kind of people that run for president.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Because they're fucking intelligent. They don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
But it's almost like it comes down to responsibility. Almost, it's like somebody's got to take the reins that is worth a shit that we can get behind. That, and I don't know if it's got to be an election from the people. It's got to be.
I'm ready for ChatGPT. Fuck it. It's not going to be worse than what we're doing.
Yeah, let the yogurt run the government, man. You know what I mean? I'll defer all of my questions to
the yogurt.
To the cheese curds.
What are we at? We're at Chat GPT 3.5. Once we get to Chat GPT 6.0, they could run the government.
Yeah, exactly.
The AI, and I'd be fine with that.
Probably just as poorly. Yeah, you can't get any
as
worse.
As hilarious as this is, let's get back on track.
Yeah, no, definitely.
No, you're good. I'm just being Mr. Responsible over here because I feel like an obligation.
I'm so glad.
No, of course,
I'm
glad you are. Yeah.
So there's this page. It's called Standing Together. It's an advocacy group run by Israeli Arabs and Jews coming together to hold both sides accountable and actually have a discussion about this. They are very... Sorry about that.
You're fine. I just want everybody to be able to hear you.
Yeah, so they heard me up until now, right?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. I
Cool. So they are a little bit far to the left, according to a lot of people. A lot of people see what they're saying, and they're like,
It's common for an advocacy group.
True, but then here's the thing: like you've seen the images of like the rows of Hamas terrorists being like shirtless and unarmed, like sitting after they've been like strip searched and they've been like processed, because there were like a few dozen Hamas operatives who surrendered, and there were like pictures floating online of like a bunch of people sitting shirtless and pantsless, like in a street, like fucking handcuffed.
Yeah,
and they were like, "Oh, look what they
style."
Yeah, because like you gotta make sure they don't have any weapons on them, and then you gotta like process them in a proper like counter-terrorist.
Get naked, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like there's like a certain set of rules, and they followed them. But then people took that picture out of context, and they're like, "Look at how they're sexually humiliating and abusing the Palestinian people who have nothing to do with this." LOL. And it's like. That's such a reductive and inaccurate reflection of what's happening, and that's like what Standing Together, this advocacy group page, like was mentioning, is like this isn't the way, and it's like this literally how you process a bunch of terrorists and surrender. You got to like make sure they don't have weapons.
But we also have to be like sort of honest about and honest about like whether or not like because like you said like there are people who are fuckheads. Like, who are fuckheads who are going over there and
hey man, I hate the fuckheads of my country just as much as anybody else would, because
of course,
I'm not like a selective humanist. I don't think that there's any one party of people that deserve this more than the other.
What a brilliant description, selective humanism.
Yeah. There is footage of Shani Luke, who was one of the victims of October 7th. You've probably seen one of her videos. It's a fucking snuff film. You see her in the back of a truck with a bullet in the back of her head and her joints bent backwards, and she's in her underwear, and everybody, the entire town around her, they're driving the truck through the town, and she's being paraded, and people are spitting on her, cheering, and like there's not one person in that frame that isn't happy about what happened. And a lot of people in Israel see that footage and they go, "Oh, there are no innocent Palestinians. All of them wanted this to happen to us. As far as I'm concerned, they can all die."
You have to be a sick motherfucker to go to a fucking public execution or some, so those people aren't a good representation of like, what's, how actual people feel. You got to be a sick fuck. Like not even to go to a public execution, to go to the parade of a body. Like
an innocent woman.
Yeah. And she wasn't even Israeli. She was a German fucking tourist.
Wow.
Just at the festival.
Yeah.
And like, gorgeous.
Yeah, she was gorgeous. She was awesome. It fucking breaks my heart that they did so many horrible things to such beautiful and young and potential
and
people. Vibrant people that had so much to contribute to the fucking community. But I did, some of the people that died, I didn't know them, but they had such an impact on the community. It's rich saying this as an Israeli because the same feeling is reflected in Gaza like 100 times more, but I'm going to say it anyway. Ever since October 7th, anybody in Israel is either dead, dying, or grieving.
Yeah, and that's something very powerful that you said to me when you had first saw him back. You were like, "Yo, like everyone I know is dead, dying, or grieving in some way." You know, and there's a lot, especially here in America. There's a lot of comparison with October 7th and 9/11. And I think it's a very apt comparison, especially when you look at it like politically and the response. Like we definitely did, especially here in America after 9/11, there was this sort of like, hey, they're all dead. Fucking, especially, coming from the administration and power and stuff like that. So, like, I think that is an apt description or an apt comparison in that way. But also, like, you have this sort of, like, I think that what makes it different from 9/11 is now, like, we have the internet more openly available, and then, cell phones and all of this other shit. So, like,
there's like
we're
a whole
getting these
informational war that we've never seen before that's happening right now.
And then it's like some of it, like, the thing that's crazy about the internet is, like, some of it isn't even, like, legitimate, like, warfare directly from Hamas. It's just motherfuckers who don't know shit about anything, who are, like, reposting these videos, going viral because of it. You know what I mean? Because, they're scrubbing the Reddit or whatever for the most fucking salacious or horrific picture that they can. And then you have, like, all of this disinformation that's being spread about it. Whereas before, like, with 9/11, like, the only real place where people could get those kinds of images was, directly from mass media, you know?
Yeah.
So it's different and it's weird, man. And it is shit. My brother right here, like, said it so well, like, or no, I believe Code said it. He was like, it's a brave new world, like, where, now we have, sort of this informational war that is being waged by people who have no stake in it whatsoever. You know what I mean? And they're literally just, like, either profiting off of this kind of thing, or, they're just doing it for, clicks. So.
And the thing is, like, ever since the war started, I've been involving myself in that a lot because at some subconscious level, I feel like that's the main way in which I can make a difference, because I don't serve in the military. And
but you're doing, like, digital activism.
But, like, the people in my circle, they already know that, like, they're already on basically my side. I'd be preaching to the choir if I do anything else. And I don't want to go out to protest because like, illnesses and stuff prevent me from doing, like, high intensity public activity like that. And B, it just doesn't really feel safe to do protesting, especially in America when there's, like, the American health insurance standard. It's like, fuck no, I don't want to.
Yeah, and then there's also the American response to fucking protesting, which is like, you might get your ass beat. Like,
you go to a protest in America as not an American, and then you get your head hit by a rock by some fucking purple-haired. Well, I don't want to be reductive.
I always get fucking sketched out going to places like that, like for 420, going down to the Capitol, and, like, all the people, and, like, you're in the middle of just, like, this massive swarm of people, and
and you have no idea who's a fucking bad actor or whatever. I mean,
you could just get trampled at any moment.
And then you're a foreigner and you get a rock to the head, and then you go to the doctor about it, and they're like, okay, it's going to cost you $500 for me to actually kick you out of the country.
Yeah, and well,
problem solved.
I will sort of talk to you about this, like, especially, like, as a conservative, like, like there's sort of this, like, conservative anti, like protesting wave that's going on. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
I think well, look, there's not, I don't know that
I don't know,
there's a conservative anti-protest. Conservatives protested, and there's a bunch of them stuck in a gulag, and they call it an insurrection. So that's what happens when a conservative protests.
But I mean, that happens to us all. But,
so I guess maybe it's a sense of jealousy, and Kirk, you could come in on this too, because he's also kind of from the tribe.
Yes, sir.
So what we say is, like, how can you have the summer of love where you're burning fucking neighborhoods down and you're rioting, and they call it a protest, and then we go to the Capitol, nobody has any weapons, nobody got shot, nothing was burned down, and that's not a protest. So I guess there's just kind of that disconnect of, like, what conservatives think, from my standpoint, is only liberals are allowed to protest in this country.
So coming from the other side of it, right? Especially about the with the BLM protests, I was a very active member of that, and I saw not only have I seen it from like one side of it, like when you talk about like protesting, I've been doing that shit since like 2013, 2012. You feel me? Since like Timir Rice. You feel me? And like it's always something that like it's something that in the Black community it was very spoken about, and it wasn't until like the sort of proliferation of cell phone video and the ability to post immediately that you actually saw like the effects of it, right? But it's something that Black people have been dealing with forever. Like, nigga, we've always known this. Like, if you say anything as a Black person, or if you stand up for somebody as a Black person, even if you see another member of your community getting murdered, like, there is a very good chance you're gonna get fucked up and potentially murdered yourself, right? And that's also where like my pride in being a member of the Black community, right? It comes from that, is because like, despite like all of those things, and despite like basically everyone within America knowing that this type of shit happens to us, like we still do it, and that like that sense of pride, like I get that from that, people who are willing to stand against and say something about it, even though some shit is going on. But at the same time, especially when we're, if we were to go to, like, there was a difference in response between like the BLM protests and the January 6th. We can call it a protest. I would call it an insurrection, but hey,
nobody's been charged or convicted of an insurrection.
Yeah, what's an insurrection in that case?
Yeah, well, I'm not like I'm not a political commentator. I am just like.
Well, that's fine. But you said that you would call it an insurrection, and so why would you call it that?
It was pretty violent.
Regardless of your credentials, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no. I would call it an insurrection simply because of the fact that, like, number one, like, there was an actual push by the people who were there to significantly change the government and change a vote.
Could we just call it
specifically
right a wrong?
I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't call it that.
You can call it right or
really,
wrong, but right as in the direction, not right as in...
Do you think that the 2020 election was completely legit and there was no foul play involved whatsoever? Okay. So don't we have a right to go to the Capitol to try to block that?
Yeah, but do you have a right to like storm the Capitol?
It's our house. Yes, we do have that right.
Yeah, but at this but when we talk about the response to that, right? To like sort of loop this question back, right? When we talk about the response to that, like, nigga, BLM protesters never got on the lawn. Like, for real.
Never what?
They never got on the lawn
of the Capitol.
Yeah, like there was.
What about Lafayette Square?
I mean, Lafayette Square it's very different.
And then they also tried to get inside the White House during the early days of the George Floyd riots.
Yeah, of course. But at the same time,
they deserved that shit. That was more deserved than January 6th. You kill a person on like
that had nothing to do with Trump,
4K.
though.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with Trump.
No, and exactly. It like the like especially the Black Lives Matter protests. Like, this is a problem that has been sort of plaguing our nation from its inception, right? Like, if
isn't it weird that there hasn't been any of those riots during the Biden administration?
No, but like, but that's not entirely true, because like I think number one, like, also,
we have not seen a 2020 level of riots during the Biden administration.
Yeah, but you haven't had a major case like George Floyd, and then also like
Tyree Nichols.
Yeah, but the conditions have changed.
You have the
what conditions have changed?
All right, so the conditions in under which people are living, like, all right, so like during the George Floyd protests, right? You had motherfuckers at home the entire time. So people who were not typically politically active have the ability to become politically active during that time because they had nothing else to do. Right?
There's definitely a more ginned up riot, but the situation as far as what BLM is complaining about and what they took issue with has not changed.
No, and it has not. And I agree with that.
Which is exactly my point.
Yeah, but like you always have these like sort of ebb and flows of like, you have like sort of political activism, and then you have a time that like it dies down, people lose interest, they go back to work, they do all of these things. I don't think it's necessarily based on the administration. I think it's more based on the conditions that sort of foment that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't like.
I don't.
I don't know. I do, but we're both.
So you're not gonna. Me and Kirk do not disagree, or any conservative does not disagree that black people are disenfranchised and targeted by police. Not whatsoever. That's a reality that exists.
Yeah. And that's beautiful because that's not necessarily
the riots or the protests that happened. Yeah, I'd call them riots in a lot of cases. Yeah. Burning buildings down, personal businesses, smashing windows, whatever. That's not a peaceful protest, and it was labeled as such. So
this is actually an argument that's being echoed around a lot in Israel as well, where there's the Martin Luther King quote that we know, which is like riots are basically
the language of the unheard.
Right? Yeah, and I don't disagree.
The language of the unheard.
It's angry. Yeah. It's angry. It's angry.
Yeah. But when Martin Luther King made those comments, he also 30 seconds later said that riots were unproductive and should not be necessarily tolerated.
I think we've got to see that a riot is the language of the unheard. I would say that every summer we are going to have this kind of vigorous protest. My hope is that it will be nonviolent. I would hope that we can avoid riots because riots are self-defeating and socially destructive.
Yeah, agree, but they should necessarily be tolerated, but you cannot control like fucking a mass amount of people like that. And it's very different. Like I would divorce these two ideas, at least in my head, right? And Kirk, you're free to disagree, but what I would say is the difference between January 6th and the difference between the BLM process is you had a long established history for the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Like you had a long established history of anti-blackness within the government, of brutality that is shown towards black people in terms of policing, in terms of systemic oppression and things like that.
Exactly, and nothing has changed from then to now, but we don't see the riots that we see on that same level.
Yeah, has anything changed for anyone like significantly since like the goddamn 60s? Like, you know what I mean? Like we go through these
you can't
things.
cite that circumstances are so bad that riots were justified in 2020. When nothing has changed in the last 3 years, but nothing has changed as well.
No, but here's what has changed though, and I would have to argue with you on that fact that like things have changed.
Do.
People went back to work. People went back to work, brother. People went back to work. There were bigger distractions. Like,
do you feel more comfortable as a black man on the streets?
So it was the lockdowns that caused the riots?
Huh? What'd you say, Kirk?
Are you saying that the lockdown is what caused the riots? Because people were cooped up in their homes and then they were allowed to get out and be maskless and cause damage and such.
I think
I would argue it's a lot to do with the actual George Floyd video because people
that video is fucking crazy. And then not to mention the fact that
that's not even the worst one. Elijah McClain.
Oh, I mean, fucking God.
Absolutely.
That was fucking insane.
So George Floyd was breaking laws, like whether you want to admit it or not. Elijah McClain was just an innocent little fucking kid, man.
Yeah, George Floyd was breaking laws, but did he deserve to be executed?
Absolutely
Probably not.
But
no.
We're not saying he did. We're saying given that for perspective, Elijah McClain was a fucking innocent, pure soul.
So
that other motherfucker was selling Lucy's, wasn't he?
Who?
No, dude, that's
George
not
Floyd.
George Floyd.
That was Eric Garner.
That was Eric Garner. Yeah. Oh,
wasn't George Floyd a porn
dude.
actor?
Yeah.
Which, no disrespect, by the way.
No, he was not a porn actor.
I bet he was packing.
Dude, I'm trying to look into that, man.
Shouts out to George Floyd.
But do you feel safer now in 2023 than you did in 2020 after the BLM is a black man?
God no. But these things are God no. But at the same time,
I'm really confused as to when riots are justified and when they're not. Still,
in my opinion, riots are justified when they are Plan Z.
Yeah.
If you when you have exhausted every other option and you've tried and people still have their fucking leg on your neck,
And I get what Bird's saying. Like, this is 160 years of oppression compared to one day of you stole the vote.
And then,
there's a proportionate, proportionate reaction.
response. Yeah.
Right.
But like, and also like, I think that, Kirk, if you could chime in on this, I think that like, if we were to say that like, violence is, or riots are the language of the unheard, and if you as a conservative, you chose to go to the Capitol to basically make your point be known, then I think that like as an American citizen, nigga, like I'm allowed to fucking do the same thing. And although like I might not agree with the way that January 6th went down, and you might not agree with the way that like the BLM protest went down, at the same time, we can both say that like when people feel unheard, they are going to go, they're going to fucking
do the thing,
shit, and they're going to do the thing. And like that's like whether or not it's okay. Like I don't, I'm not the person to exactly
whether or not
say.
it's okay isn't the exercise. It's just like that's how nature works. Is like you.
You can't.
How nature works. I like how you said how nature works. Think about the mob mentality too.
It's like you put a lid on a pressure cooker and you leave it on. What the fuck do you think's gonna happen?
Like what do you think's gonna happen? You put a bunch of people like out of work, and then you show them a video like, and we like that has been in the zeitgeist forever, right? Yeah. Like especially like those videos of Black children getting murdered and people getting murdered have been within like for the last 10 or 15 years. They have largely been within that within our like societal mind, right? And then you have the right conditions where it can lead to that kind of thing. And I think like the last sort of like sort of wave of that was like January 6th, and that conservative.
That was kind of the protest that ended all protests, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, it was. Then. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And like we have had like tying it back to
we have Israel. Palestinian protests now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and so annoying, blocking roads. Come on.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Yeah. I do want to respond to something though.
Go ahead.
On January 6th, the effort to decertify the states that had voted for Biden and send them back to the state legislatures. Mm-hmm. That was interrupted by the riots, the protests, what have you. Mm-hmm. On that day, if I'm not mistaken, it was the west side of the Capitol that was first breached. On the east side, it wasn't until the western side crowd had moved over to the east did that side get very violent. If anything, the riots...
are you familiar with which side had more people? Because like, wasn't it like the eastern side that had a vast majority of the people? So like if we were going to talk about like that mob mentality and stuff like that.
Do you remember the aerial footage? I mean, there was hundreds of thousands
of people. Yeah,
I'm not sure what the breakdown was east and west, but
it's an interesting question.
The breach of the Capitol had stopped the decertification effort that was going on behalf of the House of Representatives and the senators. And so if you call the decertification effort the insurrection, it was ironically paused and reversed because the Capitol
because of the
breached.
Insurrection, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that raises a question. We had talked about bad actors in these riots in 2020 and before. There's and David can speak to this as well, the concern that there were plainclothes federal officers or affiliated as such, like Ray Epps and others,
inciting
who had riled up the crowd. Like the Proud Boys, their leader, Enrique Tarrio, who wasn't even there that day, was a paid FBI informant. Yeah. Stuart Rhodes, who was part of the Oath Keepers, was as well. And so there's this consideration that
maybe
if not for these provocateurs, the riots never would have happened.
Yeah. And well, we also have similar theories within like the black community and stuff like that, where
right, like Umbrella Man.
Yeah, exactly. Or like if you
Umbrella Man.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You talking about Nick Cage? Well, that's Weatherman. Sorry, go ahead.
Family Man.
Umbrella Man.
Yeah, for the audience, what's Umbrella Man?
So Umbrella Man, I believe this was in Minneapolis during the early stages of the George Floyd protests.
Uh-huh. Thank you for calling them protests, by the way. Thank you.
Well,
and I will.
I do think they were riots, but early on they were protests until like they started burning down Target and such.
Yeah, I mean, 93%, man. And honestly, hey, yeah, no, 93% of them were actually were actually peaceful.
Okay. Fine. No, that's fair. Let me explain who Umbrella Man is for the audience, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was an individual who was dressed in, I believe, all black, if I'm not mistaken, masked up and everything.
I like Kirk.
Who was
Kirk's the man. He's the captain.
I try to be fair, even though I have my point of view.
He's the conservative man, dude. Like, I fuck with him. Go
ahead. So this masked individual was breaking windows to, I think, like an AutoZone or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he was caught on videotape, and people started pointing to him. And I don't know if they were accusing him of being an agent provocateur, but they were saying, what is he doing there? Yeah. He's disturbing the message, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And then as the night went on, the police receded, and the riots started to ramp up more than just the protests.
Yeah.
And so, if I'm not mistaken, he was arrested, and it turned out he had certain ties to like militia groups and such. And so that is leading credence to the idea that he was an agent provocateur.
Yeah.
That turned what would be otherwise peaceful protests into the growing riots of that day and that summer.
I've honestly actually seen it happen live, real time, with my own eyes. I've seen.
You said you've had experience in that regard.
Yeah. Like I remember, and this is how old I am, so prepare for this. But you guys remember the Occupy protests?
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I do. Yep.
So during the Occupy protests, I remember
the autonomous zone thing. Occupy Wall Street?
Yeah. So that spread like all over America, right? These sort of like offshoots that were, being, that were started up all over the country, right? And especially here in Denver, like we're sort of pseudo leftists and like a red, mostly red sphere. A lot of people don't know that, but Colorado is like very like conservative outside of Denver,
outside of I-70, I-25.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of cowboys running around.
Yeah, I mean, Lauren Boebert is from here.
I don't know.
Yeah,
yummy.
Yummy, dude. Yeah, talk about hate fucking.
Talk about.
Yeah, but let's not objectify that fucking monster.
Are they?
So like, I saw it actually during that time where. You had, police sort of mobilizing, cordoning the streets off, things like that. And then they would wait until, the news trucks had left when there was sort of nothing to report on or whatever. And then, like, after that was when you had, closer to midnight, fucking police shooting in, tear gas and shooting rubber bullets at people and stuff like that. So like I do think that like regardless of the movement and really like whenever you step outside the status quo and there's so much proof of this, that
just look at COINTELPRO.
Yeah,
in the 1960s.
Exactly.
That program hasn't been shut down.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
can I come in real quick, guys? Do you remember, and you were part of these BLM protests in Denver, I remember hearing on the news or on Twitter or whatever, that there would be pallets of bricks dropped off.
Yeah,
I saw those. I saw that. Yes. The pictures.
That was real.
Yeah, that was real.
So who's dropping those fucking pallets off?
The police.
The police.
Provocateurs.
Yeah.
So that is agent provocateur.
And I do think like the exact same thing was happening.
Fucking bullshit, dude.
I think the exact same thing was happening to the January 6th protests, right?
They're fueling the fire, kind of.
Yeah, that they were fueling the fire, and I do think that you have a lot of agent provocateurs, the leader of the Proud Boys, like you said, and stuff like that. People who are government agents or working for the government, whether or not they're being paid with money or whether or not they're trying to keep their asses out of jail. I do think that like we have to sort of take that that critical eye and use Occam's razor in order to establish like, hey, what is going on here? And it doesn't matter like what side you're on, like the status quo and the people who work within the government are always going to try to uphold that. And it doesn't matter like what you're doing, so for me, and I also think like maybe Kirk, I don't know if this is for you also. I feel for your movement and I feel for your side. I feel that shit because
you already told us you don't believe the 2020 election was legitimate.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think
any election
is legitimate, man. Like
we got to get voting.
So how long do you think that's been going on?
Oh God. Shit, nigga, like, I don't know. Like, as long as, like...
Forever?
All right, yo, so I will say this. Is like, I was alive during the time, and I was a fucking kid, not politically active whatsoever, like, literally a child. But if you guys remember the whole Gore versus Bush... Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2001 thing, yeah, and like the whole like
that was
Roger
an election
Stone,
decided by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and Roger Stone like admitted to creating like sort of this false grassroots movement in order to like fucking essentially keep people from counting the votes. I think those things are real.
Kirk, who do you think won that election, Gore Bush? Because it was decided by Florida in a Supreme Court decision.
So the Bush v. Gore decision merely told the Florida Supreme Court to stop alternating its procedures for counting the votes.
Yeah.
I don't believe Bush stole that election because Gore didn't even win his home state of Tennessee. So I don't think it's necessarily...
You think that just based on the fact that like Gore didn't win
Can't we
Tennessee?
just get a simple fucking count of the votes?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to answer the question. Can I answer that question? I mean, I was asked the question and I'm interrupted. So
yeah, sorry. You know me, Kirk.
Right.
My bad, brother.
Right.
Yeah.
No problem. So, if you have to win by Reagan-level landslides just to have anyone have faith in the system, I think that's a huge problem for our republic.
Of course, yeah.
As far as the 2000 election goes, no, I don't think everything was on the level just because Gore lost his home state. But it does show that he was not overwhelmingly supported by the majority of the people. Of course, every state has its own elections.
You talking about Bush or Gore?
Gore did not win his home state.
Do you have faith? Do you have faith that the votes actually matter? That they're actually counting the votes and that it's not pre-decided? I mean, I think we got to change the whole system. That's something. I mean, we can bitch about it all day long, but what would we do instead? It's like everybody has a cell phone in their pocket. I think we should be voting on our cell phones.
Exactly.
That's a terrible idea.
Why?
I say no to that.
I do feel like we should be utilizing the internet in some way, shape, or form.
You have to not utilize
Here's the thing.
internet.
So what? You'd rather just
generally, I would agree with
you. Want to
you.
do paper ballots? I mean, what?
Paper ballots,
Absolutely.
hand counted. That's it. That's the
Here's
only
the thing.
way.
Here's the thing.
It's the only thing that can't be manipulated.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Paper ballots can't be manipulated
Dude,
at all.
come on, dude.
Can I just say something real quick?
Encryption's getting pretty good. Like security online is getting pretty good. Everybody has a fucking personalized. I don't know if it's an IP address on their cell phone.
Technology is getting pretty good, and I do agree that there is something to be said for it. I do also agree that there is something to be said for a face-to-face actual election where nobody can fake their shit and like you can actually hold everybody accountable. That being said,
paper trail.
Two things come to mind that are a counter argument to what you're saying. One of them is accessibility. So if you're sick, you're not going to be able to go to the ballot. You might be able to vote through mail, but then
you didn't know you're going to be sick.
Yeah, and then like fucking
if you're poor.
Yeah, where are you gonna get the ballot if you lost it, or fucking is somebody gonna oopsie-daisily just lose your ballots? Second of all, as an Israeli who was living in America at the time of Netanyahu's recent re-election,
I
wish I would have had some time.
So there's no type of way.
You wish you would have had some time for what?
I wish I had some type of way to vote online against this because I don't want this dude representing
So you couldn't
my
get an
country.
absentee ballot from Israel sent to America?
No, I haven't. No, I didn't have the option. I didn't even look, admittedly, but I don't think that there's an option
So right
for
now,
absentee
the United
ballots.
States and Colorado, you get a ballot whether you ask for it or not. It pisses me off every time it fucking comes. I say, I didn't ask for this fucking ballot.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it because
I
can make my
personally kind of
choices
like it.
before I go to the poll. But
Yeah.
I never send that ballot in.
I like to always have the option, and worst comes to worst, I can always like throw it away if I don't want to
But
see it.
that all started with the absentee ballot, where soldiers. Of course, the United States of America, we have forces everywhere, so they get to vote too. So they would send out an absentee ballot or a military ballot to those, or to those that can't get to the ballot box. You can request one.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't
was that
get
not
one.
was that not an okay system?
I like the concept of an absentee ballot. I haven't seen it. I don't know if we have one.
So I'm looking at that up right now.
Okay, thank you, because I am kind of a bad.
So, but sending everybody a mail out ballot, it's like.
Just destroying the trees.
Well, first off, you're destroying the trees. Second off,
let's go back to the internet discussion.
Oh my
that's
god,
what we were trying to argue.
Fuck the trees, bro.
I love the trees.
Honestly,
they can plant another
I
tree.
love the trees, but if we can kill a few extra trees to prevent a genocide, then I'd do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, trees, I love you.
We should actually start our own genocide and kill all the fuck boys.
Yeah.
No, well,
I don't know.
I'm just joking.
That's everyone.
I'm a boy and I like fucking. Don't kill me.
That's us, dude. Yeah.
So how do you fix it? We've got 3 Americans and an Israeli. What is the proper voting system? You guys think it's the internet?
Voting system.
The main cause of 2020 was the internet, and people are afraid that votes are getting shifted, and there's an algorithm put into these machines that keeps, and you could see it, and then their algorithm couldn't even figure it out, and that's why you see the spike in Biden, that F. Boom.
Yeah.
That's not natural, man. And that is because of whether.
Do you think that's do you think that that spike is because of the way that they were counting those paper ballots?
I think it's faked paper ballots. Yeah.
You think
here's a radical idea.
Did you?
You just have retired fucking volunteers counting ballots in a fucking
with fucking
in a fucking like a fucking,
why did they? So they
You at least
stopped.
have a paper trail that way.
They stopped the voting simultaneously in 6 different states, and what was it, Pennsylvania, that said we have a water main break, and then a couple days later, it's like there was no water main break. There was
That was allegedly in Fulton County, Georgia.
Fulton County,
but it never
Georgia,
happened.
and then two other ladies come in and they start pulling buckets out from under the tables and start scanning.
I'd say their names, but I don't want to get sued for defamation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then they just start scanning them, just the 2 of them with nobody in there. And then you have the other precinct where.
Do you think it would have mattered? Did these things matter, especially for 2020?
Do you think Joe Biden got 81 million votes, the most votes for president in the history of this country? And he's now the most unpopular president the country's ever seen?
81 million votes is the amount of
Trump
votes he
was
got in this election.
Oh,
But there's 350 million Americans. No?
Yeah, but how many of those are voting age? So how many voting
many of those
age
are voting
people
age are probably
I think
most?
150 or something like that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a minority.
Yeah.
Well,
A minority
there's
of
kids.
American-
Kids can't vote. You got to be 18.
How many
to vote.
kids are in the United States? Do you?
well, how many people in the United States are of voting age? That might be the question.
That's what I'm asking.
How many registered voters are in the United States? And that's
All right, I'm looking that up right now.
For sure.
Thank you, Kirk. You're a saint.
Thank you,
And then
Captain.
registered voters also include dead people on voter rolls that shouldn't be there, and the Secretary of State need to be.
Well, what do you think about people using dead people for voting? Isn't that that's kind of a conspiracy thing that's been going on?
Yeah, and
right?
guess how dead people vote every election?
Yeah.
Always liberal.
Oh, fucking cap. Hell yeah, there are no conservative
That's just the way it
grandmothers
is.
that are dead.
Zombie politics,
No. It's
man.
that they're not voting. Their ballot is taken or harvested or whatever term you want to use.
Yeah, harvested.
And it's by these
That's the term I would use, harvested.
Yeah, harvested. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
ballot
harvesting
harvesting is
votes
Yeah.
from our grandmothers.
So I'll tell you, this is what it's been on my mind. Your protest did nothing to help your cause, and our protest did nothing to help our cause.
Exactly.
Because it's still going to be fucking stolen the next goddamn time. The only reason Donald Trump was elected over Hillary is because they beat the algorithm. There were so many people voting for him that they beat the algorithm.
And I also do want to speak to like the fact that like Donald Trump like actually, and you know, I'm not a Trumpist by any means, but like I will say this, you know, Donald Trump spoke to something within the American zeitgeist.
He exposed it all, didn't he?
Yeah, but at the same time, like he exposed it while being it at the same time. And like we've never really seen that before where, you know, you have a person who is talking about how, you know, unequal our voting rights are and our political system, and who is using the political system. And then we are,
and he said it straight to everybody's face in that debate with Hillary.
And I was going to say that, like, we're giving him a pass because of the fact that he just called it true. But at the same time, like, is he an effective representative for the conservative movement?
Well, he wasn't even a Republican, was he? Like, he changed he changed his party so that he could run. Like, I thought he was a Democrat most of his life.
I've heard that, like, he... I've heard that quite a few times. I don't know if that's true.
I hate talking about Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
He's not going to make
interject with a couple questions whenever.
Yeah, let our guest interject on. Will you settle down, David?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to, like, because this is an important conversation. You know, this is a domestic issue, and we have an election coming up, and we need to be having these discussions, even though they're hard.
What you got to understand about Donald Trump is he's not a politician. He's a real estate developer. Basically the most major commercial metropolitan financial hub in the world, right? So, although he wasn't a politician, politics was his game. To get the clearance to build his buildings, get the financing to build his buildings, he had to play that game.
He understood politics.
Especially in New York.
Especially in New York, where basically if you want to get anything done, you have to saddle up with a liberal, right? So that's what he is. I don't know. And you guys asked the question, is he a true conservative? Is he a true liberal? I'll tell you what Donald Trump, what I think of Donald Trump, I think he's a true American. I think he's a true American who really cares about the prosperity and the advancement of this country. And he's an anti-globalist also. So that's the other kind of thing I like about him. And there's not a lot of that around.
Are you not a fan of globalism?
Not a fan of globalism. Why would I be from the United States of America?
I just want to make sure we're working with the same definition of globalism. Globalism is kind of like the
a one world government,
melting potization of the entire world in a way, like a merging of the cultures.
Globalization to me, Kirk probably has the.
Can we just get the definition?
I have something. I have something for you.
Yeah, what do you got, Captain?
So globalism is the economic, military, financial and political integration of all the world's structures into a global federation, a one world government, as David put it, a UN with actual power, and in our view, David and I view, the America First view, a malicious intent to conform everyone to a certain standard that is below what we are seeking and what is best for humanity.
Do you think that, like, sorry, I'm back from the bathroom.
Don't
gentlemen.
be.
No problem.
It's revelation.
You have some numbers, by the way.
Yeah, no. Great. But, you know, to talk about what you were saying when I so rudely stepped in, do you think that it's necessarily like how likely do you think that these things are to happen, especially when you look at like how individualistic like people and societies are. Like, I don't consider this, like, one world government thing as realistic because of the fact that, like, number one, you have, states like Israel that are dealing with things that are so
unique to their culture that like, nobody would understand them from outside the world. Yeah. I personally like the whole concept of like a one world government and one big fat mishmash of everybody is completely unrealistic.
Yeah.
But I am completely for a different definition of globalism in the sense that people are in better communication with each other internationally.
Global connectivity.
People are more understanding of each other's cultures and like share their own while receiving.
But that's still a separatism.
There's always going to be a separatism. We're different people.
Okay, so can we talk a dichotomy between America and Israel?
Let's
talk about the southern border, the invasion going on our southern border.
Yeah,
we're allowing. I believe the last time I talked to Kirk, it was like in 4 days, 50,000 people came over. What I saw today is more people are coming over that border every day than American women.
The United States,
the southern border of the United States, yes, from Mexico. Doesn't mean it's Mexicans; it's everybody. But more people are coming over that border every day than American women are giving birth to children every day. So
that's interesting.
Are you
are you mad about it?
Are you a purveyor of the Great Replacement theory? Where you think that,
I think that there's some traction to that. Yeah.
It's a fucked up fucking conversation to have because I remember the fucking the thing that comes to mind immediately is the Christchurch shooting that happened in New Zealand in 2018, where this dude got in his head. He released a manifesto that day where it's like, it's the birth rates. They're fighting us with the birth rates. Everybody who isn't Christian. Specifically, he's talking about the Muslims in that case because he went out and he attacked 2 mosques and he killed like 50 people brutally. And he said, like, they are actually committing some kind of a jihad against us. They are actually attacking us with the birth rates. They're having more children than us, and they're trying to replace us as a majority in the future.
My question.
Well, I can speak to that real quick. So, in 2000, the UN actually put out a report called "Replacement Migration."
Yeah.
And it was some 100-page or so. I mean, it was a really long report that detailed how birth rates in the West are falling, and that the only way to make up for that is the replacement migration. That's what they called the report. And you can just listen to Democrats and some Republicans like Jeb Bush, who talk about how because people in the West, America, Canada, etc., aren't having enough children, aren't starting families, are becoming less religious, etc., that we need those countries need to import replacement laborers, replacement heads of family, etc. So the idea that a massacre is committed by somebody who is concerned by those things, it doesn't negate the fact that there is
committed,
an effort is made to create the conditions for replacement. Just because a Zionist goes into the cave of the patriarchs and murders Palestinians, it doesn't mean Israel is doomed to fail. It's a cycle.
No,
that's the thing. Is like the whole concept of like, this is the birthright warfare, birth rate warfare. It's completely fucked up. And I remember like waking up that morning and being completely horrified.
Allowed? Who the fuck is allowed? Who is allowed to have children? Who's allowed to come into this country? Who the fuck is allowed?
Who makes that call?
Who makes the
call?
What type of invasion is happening on Israel? Do you allow 50,000 people in 4 days to come through any border in Israel? Do you allow 10 people in 4 days to come through any border?
So I feel like Israel is a rough place to compare to because all of the borders that we share with other countries
are hostile.
Are countries that, if they're not hostile, they've been hostile before.
That's fair, but you understand the point I'm trying to make.
I understand the point you're trying to make, but there is a lot of immigration that comes into Israel. There is a ton of
legal or illegal?
Legal. and probably some illegal. I'm not an immigrationologist, and I can't really tell you for sure. But I can tell you,
it's obviously not to the tune
legally,
of 50,000 people in 4 days.
Well, Israel's total population is what, less than 10 million? Come on,
right?
Like
so
there's a proportionality that you have to take into consideration.
Again,
I do want to say,
but it's still a country, and you still have your borders.
Yeah, we still have our borders,
and your borders are protected. I mean, one of them, like fucking. You have the most protected border the world, or maybe the universe has ever seen.
Yeah,
with the Iron Dome.
So before we dive too deeply into that, I just want to go to give some numbers on some of the things I've been fact checking. So I've been trying to find a good source that indicates the number of registered voters in the United States. In 2020. You can go to the kook sites, you can go to the mainstream media sites, and they really kind of mishmash all their sources. So I have something from Statista, which is hiding its source behind a paywall. But I find that this site to be probably the most down-the-line truthful source I've found so far.
Yeah, paywall. It says welcome to the brave new world.
I know, it's so fucked up.
Right. Yeah.
You want to know things?
Yeah, you want to know something interesting? Yeah, exactly.
There's no faster X clip.
Pay up, baby.
Yeah, you can read about Miley Cyrus.
But how many registered voters are there, Kirk?
So in 2020, according to this site, which again I find more reliable than some of the others, it says about 168 million.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
Registered voters. Okay.
Right. And there were about 200 some eligible voters. So with how turnout went, it was about 65%. Plus you have states creating like mail-in balloting and extending voting deadlines. There were 71 million votes for Trump. Maybe 70 plus million votes for Trump and about 81 million votes for Biden. That's about 150 million. I can see where people are not finding any sort of discrepancy there. Now, as far as absentee voting in Israel, according to the Times of Israel, which I find, again, the one that's most plainly stated, it's not prone to manipulation as much as some of the other sources I've looked at. There is no absentee voting in Israel.
Yep,
for those living abroad.
That's what I thought.
Wow.
So how do you vote? You show up to the poll?
You show up, motherfucker. You gotta fucking...
So Netanyahu...
What if you could just use your fucking phone, man? I mean, face identification, dude. Face ID.
That's what I'm arguing, is because fucking Netanyahu... Here's what I think happened. I think he was a shitty president on purpose so that everybody who doesn't like him leaves, and then the people that stay keep voting for him.
Yeah.
So being an Israeli, you can speak to
a lot
this,
of people
and I've been
leave
kind of
Israel.
curious for this.
Yeah.
Nobody leaves the United States.
There's an idea of snap elections.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
it's like surprise, pop quiz.
It seems like every 6 months there's new elections going on. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Is that true?
Yoav,
I'm sorry. I
repeat
need to
the question.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sure. No problem. So it seems like maybe every 6, 8, 10, 12 months, there's a new election in Israel. And because it's a parliamentary system, it's based on which parties get the majority, and coalitions are being built and such. And that's how they pick their prime minister. Is that not a kind of a...
There is something along the lines of what you're saying, but there is also like a lot more just different systems compared to where we are at with the U.S. that are just like kind of weird and hard to explain. Basically, like you need to have a certain amount of votes before you can even get counted as a votable party.
Yeah.
And then like after,
we have a similar thing.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm not the most fluent on it, and I don't really want to speak out of turn.
Gotcha.
But there is definitely you're not. I don't think you're wrong. I do want to mention though that
let's kill the absentee voter.
No,
I'm joking.
That's what I'm arguing. The opposite. I'm arguing all these.
Let them live.
There's a lot of people in the
even the dead ones.
Instead of a ballot, we send a assassin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Instead of a ballot, we send a smart coin that you flip.
Yeah. Heads or tails. Tails is Biden.
Yeah. Instead of a
They're
ballot,
both tails though.
instead of a ballot, we send a live chicken and a twister floor mat thing, and you just slice the chicken's head off, and you look at
wherever the blood lands.
Yeah,
I like that
exactly.
But I want to say, like, the thing I wanted to wait for Bird to come back for is I just feel like
Bird came back. What's up?
I feel like I want to focus a little bit on the Israeli-Palestinian conversation just until we get to a point where I feel like I can safely leave it off. Cool. Because every time we like jump into a subtopic and we move on to a next one, I feel like I'm not doing that subtopic justice. I mean, that applies to everything, right? Because there's like counterpoints to every point. Yeah. But not everything that we're talking about has like stakes this high.
Yeah. No, you're right. I'm glad that you got the compass. You're fucking holding the compass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yoav, the mic is yours.
Thank you. In my potentially biased opinion, although I do put an effort in critical thinking and in humanism, there is only one side to this, and it's the human side. What's happening right now is a bunch of old, out-of-touch people using other people to fight.
Yeah, as human shields.
As human shields, as pawns, as tools, as propaganda tools.
Yeah, it's true for every single conflict.
Yeah. And like there's a handful of people within each of the sides that is a genuine shithead who does this personally. He's not like some dude caught in the crossfire. He's this dude who actually enjoys hurting other people. And there are people guilty of this on both sides. I denounce them. I despise them. Even as like a form of riot, which we mentioned earlier, like riots are the language of the unheard. Sure. You can go ahead and you can riot in a way that would actually help. You can go, I don't encourage it, but if you want to like revolt, then you go and fight the oppressing power. You go fight an IDF soldier. You go fight a police officer. I'm not saying you should. But if you're out here raping children and kidnapping women and fucking attacking the vulnerable populations with the express intention of making them suffer as much as possible, that's not rioting. That's being a shithead.
That's terrorism.
It's evil.
That's evil. It's pure evil. And it's like there's a percentage of people in a regular setting, there's a bell curve. Some people are going to be born evil, you know? There's going to be a regular society, a suburbia, everybody's happy. There's going to be at least one person born in there that's a total sociopath who was just born liking hurting things. Yeah. The things we saw on October 7th, that's not nature, that's nurture. I'm sorry. There's a lot of people that were raised to think, oh, this is the right thing to do. This should happen to Jewish people, quote unquote people. They don't see them as people because a lot of the times these are Hamas run schools that raise them to think that the Jewish and the Israeli are evil. They're the cause of all your suffering and you need to treat them accordingly, even if it means the most brutal and unimaginable torture you can think of. I denounce that, and I also denounce the sociopaths in the other side, in the IDF, because so there's an expression. There's a Jewish ceremonial cloth that you wear. It's called a talis. And it's supposed to be like a pure white and a pure white thing. It's supposed to represent the purity in your connection with God.
It's the white scarf.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's fly.
And there's an expression that I heard once upon a time where our talis isn't fully white. Because there are fuckheads in every country, like I've said before. And there are people in Israel in the past that have done horrible and deplorable things. My argument is that like the people that do these things on the IDF side, they get the accountability most of the time. Most of the time, the spotlight is on them and they get the consequences they deserve.
Do you see that accountability through, Netanyahu's administration, or do you get that accountability through,
the people?
Yeah, you get it through the people, right? But there's a difference between accountability through the people
and accountability through the law, for sure.
Yeah,
so, in my opinion, from what I've seen, Netanyahu's cabinet of clowns tends to not.
They err on the side of
shitheadery, but in terms of the people, you do something shit. Here's one of the most fucked up things that happened over the last few weeks is there was this was during the ceasefire. Some terrorists came along and shot up a Jerusalem bus stop. They didn't call themselves Hamas, but they were fucking Hamas for sure. But the thing is, a citizen who happened to be armed shot them down.
What?
And he was a fucking hero. But then IDF soldiers came along. And this hero that shot these terrorists down, he threw away his gun. He took off his clothes. He laid down on the floor. And he said, I'm not a terrorist. I'm with you guys. I'm peaceful. He begged for his life. Fucking trigger-happy IDF children shot him anyway. He died after saving people.
Why'd they kill him? They
felt threatened. They didn't know if he was the terrorist or not with them and lying to them. They didn't know. Yeah, and they fuck.
A man without a gun doesn't make you feel threatened, my nigga.
Well, he saw that he already had one gun. I imagine they imagined that he had another. There's no excuse for it, and it's made people who make it their main content point is to explain Israel's position on things. And this story has made their job so much fucking harder. And it's one of the heaviest weekends that we've had in Israel over the last over its history. There was also this other weekend where several 3 hostages, I think, were trying to escape, and they almost did. And they had white flags, and they were trying to get the IDF soldiers' attention, but the IDF soldiers, they're in a war zone with an enemy that likes to pretend to be a civilian, and they didn't really they didn't make the right call. They wound up killing these 3 hostages, unfortunately. And this isn't the way. This isn't the way. We need the opposite of this, please.
It's not the way. And a philosophical question that I want to bring up that I've been thinking of for most of this podcast, that it's how do we extinguish the evil? How do we extinguish the evil?
So extinguish implies complete. That's the thing. Extinguished implies complete elimination.
And if you could, would you want to? Do you think it'd be a better life?
That's a really cool and psychedelic conversation that I would love to have after this next point.
Okay.
But whether or not we can extinguish it, I don't think so.
Much more pragmatic. Yeah.
I don't think so.
And
because it's part of human nature. There needs to be shitheadery for goodness to exist.
Exactly.
The opposites exist at the same time for a reason.
Plato's conundrum of evil.
The yin, and the yang.
And that's I don't want to go on a tangent, keep me accountable, but I will say that especially as a black person within America, I don't agree with, I believe it was in Dallas, there was a shooting of the police or whatever. A sniper ended up shooting some police officers who were essentially innocent other than their job, right? And that, for me, it's I don't want to do the whole thought crime thing where it's just oh, I'm going to kill you before you get the chance to do these kinds of
Minority
things.
Report, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think that we can effectively eliminate those things entirely. And I also do think that throughout protesting, they are an essential part of the actual process.
Yeah, it's
right?
the antithesis.
Yeah, like you have to be shown like
your mirror image.
Yeah, the mirror image of that. Like not everyone is a victim. Not like sometimes victims become the monster. You know, the epic of King Lear, and you know, like sometimes you see into the darkness and it stares back. You'll always have that kind of thing that happens where, you know, people do become a mirror image of that.
Yeah.
And I think like especially within at least from my view, if I'm speaking out of turn, let me know, but like, you know, with Netanyahu's government, from what I see, right, from standing outside of it, I can understand why this person, in defense of his people and his nation, outside of his, like, you know, wanton, you know, lust for
ambition,
power. Yeah. I can see why he became radicalized, right? You know what I mean? Like, at the same time, like, we have people in the Black community who are like that. You feel me? If you look at some people like some members of the Black Panther Party and stuff like that who were violent and who were acting in ways that like were at the same time unscrupulous, but like you need that sort of dichotomy and counterbalance to exist, because it shows us, number one, like it humanizes the other side, right? And then at the same time, you get
a wake-up call in a way. It's
this wake-up call that we are ultimately like this. Yeah, we're the same.
It's like this wouldn't happen if you didn't do this fucked up shit.
Yeah,
is like the argument.
And would we ever be able to get rid of that? Like, you know, that's the important part. Is like, like outside of, you know, January 6th and the protest there. Yeah. Outside of the BLM protests.
That's all in good faith. Nothing evil about either one of those things.
Both
things were,
and this guy, Dirty D the whole time was shaking his head violently when we were talking about, is it possible to extinguish evil? And he's saying, not a goddamn chance.
And I'll tell you why. We did an episode, it's called Hell's Realm. Okay, and I have this belief that we live in Satan's realm.
Interesting.
Evil exists. Whether you hear people, they're the optimists. There's no evil, just fucking battle it. No, evil exists. It's every temptation you have. It's every thought of war, every thought of hatred.
Have you ever played The Sims 3?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever played The Sims at all?
Yeah, back in the day.
Tie it in.
Have you ever put a sim inside of a pool and then removed the ladder?
No. That's evil.
Most people do that. Most people do that when they play The Sims.
Are we inherently evil?
We are inherently partially evil. Also, hold up. Do you think you're a good person?
I hope.
You hope? You kicked a pregnant lady in the stomach, you sick fuck.
I saw it.
I didn't.
I filmed
you
it.
You did. So did you, and so did you, by the way. All of you kicked a pregnant lady in the stomach.
How's that work?
Yeah.
I was going to get behind you.
I kicked a pregnant lady in the stomach, too.
I was going to get behind you. Oh, you're saying your mother. Your mother.
Oh, wow.
It was like a riddle. It was like a riddle.
Hey, my mom's a saint. Don't you touch it.
Yeah. Dorothy Mantooth is a saint, dude.
But I do believe, just like you, Yoav, like you can't extinguish evil. Evil exists. Evil is the most powerful force in this realm, on this planet.
That's why Donald Trump became president.
I think it's irony.
Think so.
I think it's actually irony. It's the most powerful force.
Okay,
on the planet.
I do want to bring us back to
to Israel. So do I, and that's my fault. We went off the rails there first.
The person that you know you're supposed to be, by whatever creed or religion you come from.
Repeat that first part.
Yeah, and get up on that mic.
Evil. I don't even remember what I said for the first part because I'm just riffing. But evil exists. Evil. This is evil. Your entire life in this realm, as far as we know, until death, is to resist those forces of evil. And that's why the religion exists.
Yeah.
That's why your creed and religion exists. It's to teach you how to resist the evil that owns this planet, this realm.
Do you think that the opposite of evil or objective good, right? Objective good is something that I think would never exist, right? Because of the fact that you have a difference in.
I've done fucked up things. So have you.
I feel like every single human.
Of course, I mean,
it's in me. It's within me.
Yeah,
I exist in this realm.
You're driving towards something, Bird.
So what I'm saying is we're talking about evil as if it is something
thing.
so absolute, and at the same time, I don't believe that exists. I think it is mostly societally established, right? I think it is mostly something that not only societally is established, but also morally established. And I don't think the creation or fucking religionism.
There's a quote that says the best trick the devil ever made is convincing you he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Oh my God. In the black community, we have a very similar thing. You want to know what it is?
So bad.
Yeah. Listen. The greatest thing that the American Empire ever did to black people is convince slaves that they were no longer slaves. Oh, God.
Damn.
Oh, fuck. You feel me?
I think we're all slaves.
That's trippy. I mean,
of course we are.
We're wage slaves.
Yeah.
No, we're not slaves for labor now. They figured out another way.
Yeah.
You build your own communities. You live in them. You're proud of them, but you work for them.
Exactly.
You work for them and you can barely survive, but you can survive just enough.
Just enough. And then, everywhere that you go, everywhere that you go, you live under a democracy.
So you believe this, and you can tell me that you don't see an evil in total throughout our realm.
I don't.
Hold up. I want to tie this back to Israel Palestine.
Yeah. Of course. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're both good. You're on topic. I'm just trying to stay focused because we can have these debates about the place of evil in nature all day.
Wait, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you may.
Do you believe that the fight against Netanyahu's administration and all of that is it evil or is it people's reaction to evil?
It's probably a mix of both. Because people are not a monolith. You have people in the pro-Palestine movement, and most of them are good people that have just been tricked by terrorists into supporting evil. And then there's a lot of people on the pro-Israeli side that have just been tricked by extremists into supporting racism and genocide. Because nobody's a monolith, and there's mixes of people who are malicious, who are hey, fuck Israel, get everybody out of there, slaughter them all, the less of them the better.
Yeah, and fuck them.
And fuck them. Those people. And then there's people on the Israeli side that are hey, fuck these people, let's get rid of them, slaughter them, fuck them.
Yeah, and fuck them. And fuck those people too.
And those people, in my opinion, are not even worth discussing because they
are, brother.
They need mushrooms is what they fucking need. The Palestinians and the Israelis need to sit down on some beanbag chairs and just fucking, you know what I'm saying?
We need to get rid of. So here's what my thing is though. I was trying to get back to this is evil has a lot of different definitions. It's plain to see, you see evil, you're yeah, that's evil. You see fucking brutal mass rape and fucking amputation of a pregnant lady, what happened on
what
October 7th.
When you feel it?
Yeah.
That's a different conversation.
Have you felt that, brother?
Felt evil,
being in the presence of. Felt it.
Yeah, because I actually had a pretty rough experience when I was living in Denver over the last few years because I had this roommate that flipped out on me and did a bunch of heavy drugs and threatened my life and shit. And he was enjoying the psychological warfare he was putting me through. I feel like that was a glimpse of evil. So here's a quick definition of evil. For a lot of people, not for all, but for a lot of them, it's just a shortcut. It's I want to get from A to B. I don't care how many people I have to trample to get it.
Yeah.
Netanyahu wants the unity of all of Israel, I am assuming, and he wants maybe Gaza. I don't think so, but
he's fighting for the elimination of Gaza.
He's definitely fighting for something that isn't what needs to be, because his methods are not great.
What do you believe?
Let me finish my point though. It's like evil a lot of the times is a shortcut.
I'm glad you said it again, because I was going to if you weren't. It's a beautiful thought.
Thank you. It's not mine. Most of my thoughts aren't mine, but never mind you. Then there's other types of evil, like for example, Uday Hussein, which is Saddam Hussein. You know this name, Saddam Hussein, right? Yeah. Horrible person. Yeah. His son, somehow, worse.
Is worse.
Worse. Like Saddam Hussein himself said, "Oh, this kid is too evil to inherit my empire." Damn. Do you know how evil you have to be for Saddam Hussein to say you are too evil?
For a dictator to say that you're insane.
Yeah, because this man
for a guy with a secret police.
He's just killing small animals.
Killing, raping, his favorite thing to do was to go to town on a wedding, kill the groom, take the bride.
What the
that's evil.
Fuck?
Like
evil. What
that
is straight like
what is that shit?
That's not shortcut evil. That's like just malicious.
That's straight abuse of power.
Yeah,
but you think like
but then here's the thing. Yeah. Here's my argument is this is tying back to what I was saying earlier. There is a bell curve of people. Some of them, in a very small percentage, are born kind of sociopathic in a way that they like to do these things. Are they evil? Are they betraying their own nature just to go out of their way to hurt people?
No, it is.
That's just their nature. They were born fuckheaded, so they're fuckheads naturally. Right?
I love the use of the term fuckheaded, by the way.
Thank you. I learned it in the United States.
Yeah, hell yeah, baby. That's us, baby.
I've been saying fuck boy.
Yeah.
But that's a different thing, though.
You think so? Is it? Fuckhead and fuckboys a little...
Yeah,
they're in the same arena.
No, I
all
disagree.
the fuckboys out there, including
fuckboys
myself.
are just like people that are too horny for their own good, whereas fuckheads are people that are too drugged up and malicious for their own good.
Yeah, I mean, women call a fuckboy like the guy that they know there's no future with.
Yeah, and that's not fair.
But a fuckhead is like somebody to avoid at all costs. You can hang out with a fuckboy. It's probably a fun afternoon. But
exactly.
If you hang out with
Donald
a fuckhead,
Trump
you might end up in jail.
You drink some mimosas.
No, Donald Trump's a fuckhead.
You hang out.
No, Donald Trump is a fuckboy, in my opinion. He's
I would agree with you if he didn't single-handedly destroy the entire environment of the planet Earth.
Yeah, well, he didn't single-handedly do that.
No, but he did undo all of the progressive policies over the last 16 years that were in attempts to fix that somehow.
16 years is a long time.
Yeah, he was like, Control Z, this is slowing the economy.
Yeah.
But I want to get away from that topic right now.
This has been a real conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where do we go?
October 7th, in my opinion... That wasn't a natural fuckheadedness. That wasn't a regular percentage of people out of those 2.3 million. That wasn't a normal percentage of sociopaths going into the country and raping and pillaging and murdering and arsoning people. I think that was artificial. I think that was an extremist party running schools and teaching kids to hate Jews and dehumanize them, and I think that's the result of that. I don't think that this is a proportional response to anything that Israel has done. No. Israel's done a lot. Israel's done a lot of really bad things. I don't think it's an apartheid, but I do think that it can do a lot better, especially in the West Bank. I think
it's close.
It's close. It's definitely close. It's not nearly close within Israel, but if you include the West Bank, yes. Because there's a lot of really, really fucked up shit that happens in the West Bank that's pretty close to apartheid, and you can very easily argue it. And whether or not it is irrelevant. The fact that it's even similar is an abomination. Yeah. And my opinion is that that's also an artificial form of evil, because there's a lot of people don't like to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because I believe in accountability as the way of the future. There's a lot of Jewish terror. There's a lot of people watching too much TV and being too much of a fuckhead to not be a terrorist, because there's a lot of people after So here's an example. This is before the war. This is in Operation Protective Edge. I think that was 2012 or something. Hamas kidnapped 3 kids and burned them alive. In retaliation, this was at the start of the war, but in retaliation, a group of Jewish terrorists kidnapped an Arabic boy and burned him alive. Riddle me this, Batman. How the fuck is that supposed to help?
Yeah.
Eye for an eye.
Well, yeah, that's
I'm not saying that's how it helps. I'm just saying.
No, I'm saying that's the thing, though, is that revenge has an anecdote in the religions, both in Judaism and in Islam. Revenge exists there, and it's probably a rule that served a purpose at some point in time. Right now...
Yeah, but to play catch with revenge is...
It's insane.
It's stupid, yeah.
It's
the
insane.
ball goes back.
It's
right?
exactly.
So,
and what's happening right now, in my opinion, is just like, this is a constant stream of like, he started it. No, he started it. Well, I'm retaliating. Well, I'm retaliating for your retaliation. And it's been going on for 75 years.
Years.
And like, it doesn't even matter, in my opinion, who started it, because the issue, in my opinion, is the leadership. Because none of the people, as consumed as they may be by all the hatred, all the grief, all of the propaganda that they've been surrounded by, none of the people actually want to follow through with this. It's only the old, out-of-touch people in their ivory towers that have the access to the buttons that actually
and they make money from the manufacturing of
and they don't even like see the front lines. They go there like a few months after just to like make fucking pictures for social media, but they don't actually like. A lot of the times they don't actually empathize with the people that are on the ground, and I don't know why. I don't know who is really to blame for this, because on one hand you have Netanyahu and his fucking ridiculous administration dropping the ball, having information about this attack ahead of time and not doing it. That's fucked up. That's George Bushing. I don't like that.
George Bushing as a verb.
As a verb.
Yeah, or CIA.
But here's the thing, though, is that
then on the opposite side, you have
Hamas was about to do this, and they've been planning this for years. You can get pissed at Netanyahu for not acting. I'm pissed at Netanyahu for not acting. Nobody's pissed at Hamas for acting. Nobody's pissed at Hamas for planning a horrific attack like this and not changing their mind over the last year. That's not knowing true. What they would do.
Plenty of people are. Plenty of people are
pissed off. I agree. And
you have good people on both sides. Dude.
Yeah, I just it's the algorithm radical.
True, though. I mean, think about the Nazi reign, dude. There's people in Germany, and I always fucking bring this up, but I think about it sometimes. Like people in Nazi Germany that were good people. They were just going to the store, getting milk and cheese and coming back home, but they were labeled as Nazis, and it's like kind of like I feel like that with America these days a little bit, because it's
those people went home.
Well, it's like a lot of people talk shit on America, and it's like, dude, I'm an American, and I'm just a regular guy. I just happen to be in America. You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like there's a difference between someone who, is either a political actor or a fucking, an actual Nazi. You feel me? Like there are people who are engaging with this government and doing these monstrous things. And I think it's important for us to call these people out. And I think it's also important for us to realize that shit, my nigga, if I can speak true, they live amongst us. You feel me? There are the jackbooted thugs who would very literally do genocide because of the fact that they believe in some kind of genetic superiority, or we have people who do these things simply because of the fact that they're okay with it and they want to.
Yeah. And fucking birthright people who are I deserve this land and nobody else does.
Yeah, and I do think we at the same time that we make that distinction, right? we also have to, sort of turn that mirror towards ourselves as citizens, and talk to each other as as friends, as neighbors, and we have to say like, hey, like there is an element of this that exists within not just the American society, not just within Israeli society, but within every society, who there are those people who are our friends, our neighbors, our family members, who are willing to do an injustice and to do evil, quote unquote, in order to further a goal that I'm not entirely sure whether or not it's right. I believe wholeheartedly that it's not, but like we do have to look at ourselves and sort of turn that mirror back on ourselves and actually see like, hey, like this exists within us all. This exists everywhere, on every surface of the planet, and the only way that we can rid ourselves of it is honestly looking at ourselves and saying like, hey, how am I supporting this? Yeah. How am I doing this? How am I giving credence to this fucking bullshit? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That leads to, human death, human tragedy, because that's the end goal for these fuckers. Yeah. You feel me? The end goal is death on the other side. It doesn't matter supremacy. It doesn't matter what side you're on. It like the ultimatum for fascism, whether or not you're far right, religious, or whatever. And not even just fascism. Like there are many different forms of terrorism, state-funded terrorism, and all those things. We have to look within ourselves, and we have to say like, how can we dissect our society and actually talk about humanity and what makes our humanity thus. You know what I mean? Like, how do we go outside of ourselves and look at the other side and not otherize people to the point where, like kids can be shot down in the street and we're okay with that somehow because of the fact that, well, it's that they're the other side.
And it happens all the time, so you start to become numb to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
Yeah, that's the thing is,
and how do we deal with that kind of apathy? Right?
We have to call it out. I feel like that's something that's really hard to see from the inside, although introspection is extremely important. I feel like when you're, for example, with me, right? Because I was raised in Israel. I was raised in this environment of war.
Is extrospection a word?
It can be. It is now.
At least now, nigga.
You created it.
But I'm saying, like, for me personally, being raised in Israel, ever since I can remember myself, I was in an area of war, and ever since I can remember myself, I remember in when I was in fucking elementary school, we had this fucking. This was like the first war I can actually remember ever since I remember myself. It's Operation like Solid Concrete or something. They have weird like biblical names for operations of war.
Solid Concrete is biblical. I don't know.
Not concrete. Sorry, solid lead or something.
Wow. Yeah.
Operation Cast Lead.
Cast lead. Thank you.
Wow.
See how he just slips in like that, like a ninja, dude.
My nigga Kirk, dude. The information ninja, dude.
Thanks.
That's what I do.
So basically, like that operation and every operation since, I can remember myself as a kid. I remember the death toll on the Palestinian side being a factor higher than like the death toll on the Israeli side. That's to be expected. I mean, you're fighting with a guerrilla army that doesn't care about its people versus an actual army that has like proper funding.
I think that
they're rolling up with tanks, and
Yeah.
the Palestinians are throwing rocks and fucking.
Exactly, and
I
of
think
course
that
that's
they
what's going to happen. But
I think that they do care about their people, but like they're waging war on a different front, which means like they are willing to sacrifice their own people for that.
generally, I would agree with you if the numbers weren't like this. But because the numbers are like this, I can't help but feel like they genuinely don't care as much about people as we think. Because, like, if this was this scale we've never seen it before. Like these proportions, I'm familiar with them, and that's what I was about to say. Is maybe a lot of the Israelis growing up with it have become numb to it because we've like been raised in not apathetic, but like, what are you gonna do?
The banality of evil.
Yeah, because like you're a child. What are you gonna do?
Where does that quote come from?
Banality of evil.
Hannah Arendt,
Oh, word. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Jewish author.
Whether or not it's evil is arguable, but the idea of the proportionality of the deaths being so disproportionate, being so familiar to a lot of the Israeli people, I feel like that's a big part of the problem. And you were saying, how do we move on from this, and how do we like hold ourselves accountable? My argument is, we can hold ourselves accountable, but there's a limit to what we can do ourselves. Sometimes we need somebody from another country being like, bro, why the fuck are you goddamn used to this? Are you insane?
Yeah.
You need to wake up. This isn't okay. And my argument is like whether or not what we're seeing play out right now is artificial evil or natural evil. The cause of this, in my opinion, is the leadership. We need to get rid of Hamas. We need to get rid of Netanyahu. We need to replace all of these decrepit old pedophilic fucks with people who actually care about the people.
Can we get one world leader? I know that's a globalist.
Can we get like one person I want to vote for?
I know it's very globalist or whatever, but it's like, dude, if you had a badass guy, I mean, or a council, you know, of badass people like that just had the reins on the whole world.
Who would be in your council, Aaron?
Who would be in my council?
Yeah, exactly.
I want Bird. Master of coin.
Give us an idea of what you think.
Well, if I was going to make my council with like my homies, the people that I do know,
vote for Bird.
yeah, like the round table. This would be part of the round table. I know I just met you, yo, but like for real, like, dude,
vote for Kirk, dude. I fuck with Kirk.
I would absolutely have Kurt in my council.
Kirk is
in my
going to be
council.
our...
Kirk would be like on the right, like in the right chair, right next to me on the council. And I'm not saying I would lead the council, but I don't think I can handle that responsibility. But
You'd be the president of information.
but I think it's like even within the United States, it's like there's states where weed's legal and there's states where it's not legal. It's like, can we just have one fucking set guy that's like, no. It's like worldwide, it's legal. Like it doesn't matter where you are. This is it. This is the fucking.
I like that idea, but that's kind of globalist in a
It is globalist.
It's cool, but I feel like it doesn't accurately reflect the needs of all the different cultures.
What if we all believed in this council, in this person? What if they shot rainbows out of their ass? What if they were supernatural? What if they had some extra?
If I could vote for Jesus Christ Superstar number 2, I would do that.
Yeah.
But A, this is hypotheticals.
Right, of course.
And B, I want to say, like, even if there was somebody super cool who was like a role model in any possible way, and he shot rainbows,
like a pure enlightened
even
guy.
if he did all of that, I still feel like he wouldn't be unanimously reflective of every culture.
And it would be dictatorial in nature because it is a singular person who was like making decisions for everyone.
Yeah.
Council.
It's like one set of rules doesn't apply to everybody, and to force it to apply to everybody is kind of reductive of a certain person's culture / whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think like more what we need is a more like multicultural
approach,
coalition of people who are like-minded, who are not necessarily like, number one, I think that like we really need to reduce the amount of money that it takes to like get elected in the first place.
True.
You know?
True.
Like, and I think that we should have people, you know, from these communities of many different sides who are actually invested in these issues
in the community, right? And the issues I like that a coalition. I like the sound of that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I
it's
think
on a bigger scale than a council.
You know what I mean. And I think it would be beautiful to see, and especially I don't know if it should be for. I do believe in nations, borders, and things like that, because you have so many different things that can't be calculated outside of a certain place, right? Outside of a nation's borders, for only place I know about, America, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. There are American issues that can only be tackled by Americans because we live under that rule, right?
The answer needs to come from the people.
From the people themselves. But I think we need a better representative government that does not represent, the old, the out of touch, the bourgeoisie.
We need a rewrite for sure.
Yeah, and fucking behead these fuckers, bro.
You don't need a rewrite. The perfect government's already been created. Of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Oh my God!
It's been robbed of the people.
It's
been robbed by the people. It's been robbed for the people. The perfect government exists. They wrote it. Your council that you're talking about is your legislature and your Congress.
They didn't write it.
Well, okay, there's a document that they did write, but it wasn't their idea. Okay,
but their idea
the
was
perfect
great
government
for them
exists.
At the time.
The council you guys are talking about is legislature and Congress, elected officials. Now you've got to be sure that these elected officials are actually elected officials, and they need to be of the people, for the people, and by the people. That's been.
But these elected officials should not be representative of how much money.
No, they should represent the people.
Yeah, exactly.
And just what you're saying, it should not cost so much money to run for office.
But it's designed. It's based on an old system where you had these representatives because they had to get on a horse and ride into town.
Exactly, and they had to have the money for a fucking horse.
We don't have to do that anymore, man. We don't have to fucking do that shit anymore, man. Everybody has a voice. Everybody's got a fucking.
Have you guys seen that video of there are two people at the BLM protest? There's a white guy yelling at a black dude, and he's like, well, your people fucking own slaves. And the white dude's like, motherfucker, do you know how much a slave costs? We ain't have slaves.
Not in my house.
You feel me?
Okay, that was hilarious. But guys, I do want to bring it to attention that I don't have much time left before I need to go.
Of course. Okay.
So.
No, I think it's okay. I think we could wrap. It's been a heavy episode, so I don't even know why we would go to anything lighter.
Sorry.
No, it's great.
No, it's probably one of the better ones we've had. Don't be sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
We're at 2:47, which is really beautiful. We almost hit the 3-hour mark, the magic number.
I don't want to cut it off just yet because I do want to pay respects here. We talked about a lot of really heavy subjects that are touching a lot of people that are suffering right now. I'm trying to think of the best way to honor them. I think one of the ways, let's have a moment of silence just to in their memory and in their honor, because there are a lot of people that deserve that. Nice. Second of all, I want to say that I might have presented very biased opinions because, I'm from the one side that's it catches a lot of flack for its propaganda. So does the other side. But I want to say, like I said before, I'm not a selective humanist. Most of the people that matter aren't enjoying this. And some of the people that are enjoying this, even though they're in a fucked up position right now, they're doing it out of grief, because on October 7th, they came in and there's this one story that fucked me up to this day. Hearing it made my mental health worse. Trigger warning. Fucking, they came in, my mortician friend came in. He went into the house. He saw parents tied up and burned on one wall and children tied up and burned on the opposite wall. And they had to just imagine...
Watch each other burn.
Yeah, they had to imagine who washed the other first? And the thing is, there were several houses like that, which means they got a good mix in, probably.
That's the evil, man. It's like, where is
it's complete evil, and I think it's artificial evil, in my opinion. But the thing is, people go through that, and they start seeing red.
Yeah.
And at that point, that seeing red, I would argue, is not artificial evil. I feel like that would be a natural evil. You see your family get burned and tortured in horrific ways. You become the monster to kill the monster.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I would argue that
all of us would do it.
Yeah, but the
and
people
that's what's
that
happening
suffer
right
those
now.
kinds of things, the people that suffer those kinds of things, are not necessarily the people who should make those decisions.
I agree.
Like if you go throughout something like that, you know, especially like with my brother and stuff like that. Like if you put me on a jury to try, a murderer who is a police officer, I would not at all be unbiased, and I would be rightfully unbiased, I think, right? And I don't think that like I'm the person to make that decision,
Right.
But when you talk about an entire nation of people who is sort of going through this collective grief and is living under this extreme sort of societal anxiety, constantly thinking about cultural annihilation and living under the societal pressures that all of the people in Israel and Gaza experience. I think that maybe, we shouldn't be looking towards people who are seeking revenge.
Mm-hmm. You should be holding everybody accountable regardless of where they are at on the revenge spectrum, for sure. I agree. And like I said before, neither side is a monolith. It's easy to look at all of Palestinians after the video of Shani Luke that I mentioned earlier, the girl who was paraded dead in the back of a truck. It's easy to look at that and be like, oh, well, none of them are innocent.
Yeah.
That's not realistic, though. Yeah. And the bottom line is...
and terrorism exists.
Terrorism exists on both sides as well.
Yeah.
There's this one story of a survivor from the festival. She and her friend were kidnapped by this one terrorist, this group of terrorists, but this one terrorist in particular took her under his wing. And while she did have to watch her best friend die, this particular terrorist that kept her under her wing decided ultimately to let her go, and she was able to escape and tell her story.
Fucking Schindler, dude.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how much of a hero he is in that story, but I can say that if this was a monolith and if these were all monsters we're dealing with, then this would look different.
Yeah.
Same with Israel. If this was a monolith and we were all monsters, Gaza would have been a parking lot 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And civilization's pretty fragile. I mean, we all are a little bit... We're all kind of monsters in a way. I mean, you had to be to survive, and it's just in us, and that is nature, man. You had to be.
Yep. Yeah. But my bottom line is this: nobody fucking deserves this.
Yeah.
I don't want to pretend to not know about my privilege because I'm out here in the United States traveling.
Vibing, snorting coke off goth girls' asses.
We don't talk about that in
public.
Oh,
my bad.
You're good, but I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I'm very proud of that. But I am saying that I am living a blessed life compared to a lot of other people right now, and I do not wish to take away from that because nobody deserves this. And even if you are Palestinian, I'd say even if you are, as if that's a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with being who you are and where you're from. And I wish you peace. And I wish you prosperity. I wish you an environment where you can live your life with your family and be well and do what you were meant to do in this world. Because right now, this whole survival situation isn't helping anyone and nobody deserves it. And that's what I want to say. don't want to come on here and just say 100% Israel is right, fuck Palestine, hashtag YOLO swag, and just like get off with no consequences, because that's not where I'm at. I don't like this. Nobody does.
I don't usually close, but in closing, I want to say this is not. We had a different guest lined up. You didn't show up. You guys came, and I'm very blessed that I got to have this conversation with you. That you were here for one night only, and it happened. I mean, I don't know. Seems pretty divine to me. But
yeah, same.
Shouts out to Bird, man.
Shouts out to Bird for bringing me on here.
The flock.
Yeah, the big Flacco.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I think we could definitely close it, but I just one more quick thing, and then we should close it. Words of wisdom. I'm trying to bring words of wisdom to the people, and not necessarily from me, because I'm still growing my wisdom. I'm still a young man, not super young, but anyways. So I'd like to point people in the direction.
He's 35
of wisdom, if I can, because I'm looking for it. And I'm trying to send it to the people.
We're here for it.
And so I've been listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson. I wanted to drop his name just for anybody who's young men in particular. It's really he's great. Jordan Peterson. I just want to throw that out there. But also, do you guys have any words of wisdom that have stuck with you? That your father gave it to you. You heard it on the street, and something that you learned that's solid, that you not necessarily live by, but something that's you know what I'm saying?
I have one thing. As an opposite to Jordan Peterson, there's a man named Michael Brooks, right?
I fucks with Michael Brooks.
I've never heard of him. I'll definitely check him out.
Yo, Michael Brooks worked. Rest in peace. Yo, my nigga Kyle. Or Kirk. My bad, bro. Yeah.
You're good.
Leave all of those
Captain
mistakes
Kirk.
in.
Yeah, you have to. That's Fortune Radio, baby.
But I would like to quote Michael Brooks and say this in closing, if I could. Be ruthless with the institution and be nice to people. Because it is the institutions that we live under. It is the conditions that were set not by us as normal people, but these things were not set by us. We did not set these rules. We did not build the canal. We are forced to paddle down it. So I say, be nice to people and be ruthless with the institution. Let's change these institutions, hopefully for the better, and let's ultimately, make an attempt to, like look at each other as what we are, which is as humans, as people, and.
We cannot let the next generation deal with this bullshit.
Oh, but they shall.
They shall, but I'm going to try my
best.
best.
And it's fucking their problem, bro.
No, fuck that. Fuck that. That's what my parents said, though.
I'm going to be drinking a Corona and watching the whole world burn.
That's what my parents said, and that's why we haven't fixed this shit. We can't let this keep going.
I'm joking. But
I know.
Let's be nice to each other.
Nice to the people, ruthless to the institution.
Yeah. I do want to drop a fat quote, but I'm not sure.
Please,
go
God,
ahead.
please.
Drop a fatty quote, an overweight quote, if you will.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now passing upon us is but the passing of greed, and the bitterness of men that fear the way of human progress. And the power that they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine hearts and machine minds. You're not machines. You're not cattle. You're men. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. So let's use that power, and let's all unite.
Fortune Radio.